Are you ready? Hello?
Hold tight, everything's loading.
Okay, thank you. Just didn't want to be behind.
Welcome, each and every single one of you. My name is Quentin T. Howell, and this is the Baldwin County of Millersville, Georgia. We're taking this time to partner up with the Central Georgia Democratic Coalition so we can bring you the faces that's running for office to lead our community through the state of Georgia. During this time here, we'll have a state forum, and this forum will have candidates running for various constitutional offices throughout the state of Georgia. And we're blessed enough to have several of them here with us with some surprise guests. This is, we're going to modify our usual meeting to have this forum here. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you all who didn't find robbery to come and to share a few minutes with us and to share your different platforms to not just the citizens of Middle Georgia, but through the whole state, because we do plan on putting it on a variety of different platforms. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for putting your name on the line. If it's appropriate, I'm gonna ask our mayor of the city of Millersville, our first Black female mayor who also serves as a pastor, if she would take us before the throne, and after that, please give us a greeting from the city of Millersville.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that you have set us a platform of candidates that are so willing to give of themselves and their time. We thank you for the works that they would like to do, the works that they hope to do, and the works that they'll continue to do. We praise you today for all that you've been to all of us, for you've taken care of us, Lord, through the pandemic. You've taken care of us through other storms. You've taken care of us through just the wilderness. So we thank you on this evening, and we thank you for the sponsor tonight. Thank you for allowing us to be able to come together on this platform and speak on the issues of our people. It is these and many more blessings we ask in your Son's most holiest name. Amen.
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 Madam Mayor, feel free to give us your welcome.
Again, good evening, everyone. So glad to be on this platform to hear what it is that you all are planning to do for our great state. Can you all hear me well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I bid you greetings from the city of Millersville, Mayor and Council. It is an honor just to be among each and every one of you. I see some familiar faces, and I know that there are some people watching that are interested in what you're going to bring to the plate tonight and how you're going to help us. And so I just want to say thank you for your willingness to step out and help us and to help out this state. So again, thank you for being on this platform tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also would like to ask Dr. Barbara Campbell, who serves as the president of the African American Caucus. Several people in the Middle Georgia area might not be as familiar with the African American Caucus here in the state of Georgia, but she has, in front of her administration, has worked vigorously to move outside of that 285 beltway into Middle Georgia, doing a variety of things, and she's going to help us with our questions and others. So it's just a pleasure to have her on here. Please, Dr. Campbell, go with your greetings, please.
Thank you so much. I'd like to acknowledge your mayor. I'm always glad to see a female in charge because I know things are going to get done. I want to applaud your leader down there, Quentin Howell, who's also the second vice president of the African American Caucus of the Democratic Party and also a member of the state committee. So he sits there humble, but he represents well. I want to say to you that I am just proud of what you are doing. It is said in life that we won't regret what we did so much as regret what we didn't do when we had the opportunity. So now that you have the opportunity to do a number of things, we applaud your efforts and we want you to work with the caucus. We know everybody won't get elected, but everybody can serve. And one of the goals of the African American Caucus is to work in the interest of those things that benefit the African American community. Our community needs to be informed. We say voter registration, voter education, and voter turnout. If you didn't know about the African American Caucus, I'm going to take responsibility for that because we have been going across the state through emails, through Zoom, through our newsletter. So from this day forward, never let it be said that you don't know about the African American Caucus of the Democratic Party of Georgia. I encourage you to go on the DPG, Democratic Party of Georgia website. There's the link, fill out a membership form so that you can be a member and get our regular updates. So we just had a forum meet and greet last night. I was so impressed with the responses. We've got some talented people running. They can articulate, they can formulate an idea in a clear and concise manner. So you represent well. And I believe you continue to do so, whether you are elected or not, but we wish you all the best. And now I'm going to turn it back over to the moderator for this meeting, Quentin T. Howell.
I love it when she say it with the T. Just does something funny. Each and every single one of y'all, welcome again. We have a lot of candidates coming, so we're going to kind of jump in just to kind of give y'all the format of how we're doing. Again, we've been a little bit more informal than usual because we want to smile, we want to enjoy each other. I think when you're on the campaign trail and you this close, us as Democrats, we don't go out fighting. We kind of start loving on each other, supporting each other, and we want to continue supporting each other because you all are a minority few who decide to be the work for the leadership of our community. And Dr. said, no matter if you win or lose, you all are in that leadership, and we appreciate you. So we're going to give all our candidates 5 minutes, and then afterwards, Mr. Robinson, who is on our line here, he's a junior at Morehouse College, and it's our pleasure to have him. He contacted me through the African American Caucus last night and said, I want to get involved. I want something to do. I'm 19. What can I do? I said, we can come up with something. You called the right one. So he has prepared a question for each of you all in your position. Dr. Campbell is also going to ask a question after you finish your 5 minutes. After she asks that question, or him, Mr. Robinson, or Mr. Robinson, or Miss Dr. Campbell asks that question, then we'll move on to the next person. Some of you all have to go, and you all are kind of letting me know in the chat, or texting me. So for those who got to go sooner and faster because you're in other events, or got other events, not a problem. I'll move to you. And so I can kind of keep straight on all the positions. When I call you on your name, if I don't call the position you're running for, please let everybody know what you're doing, what you're running for, and we'll get started. With that, I think it'll be appropriate, Dr. Campbell, we start at the top of the ticket. The first person that's on the ballot, and that's a young lady who ran in the jungle primary in 2020. She did not win. I think she came in sixth in that particular race, if I remember correctly. And she's the first name on the ballot. She's running for U.S. Senator, and her name is Tamara Johnson Shealy. Ms. Shealy, welcome. We appreciate you here in Middle Georgia, and we look forward to hearing your words from you. Please take your 5 minutes. I'm sorry, Ms. Johnson. I can't hear you. I don't know if anybody else can.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Sorry. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share my candidacy, share my campaign to the United States Senate. For those of you that may not know who I am, again, Tamara Johnson Shealy. I hold a bachelor's degree in computer information systems. I hold a Juris Master's degree from Emory University School of Law. I've spent the last 27 years in the beauty and barber industry. 18 of those years, I actually provided services. 10 of those years, I was a salon owner. And in the last decade, I have been the senior advocate of politics, beauty, and barber. I am the president of the Concerned Beauty and Barber Professionals, where we address higher continuing education standards that keep you safe. Those of you that frequent salons and barbershops and get personal care services, we're the ones that keep you safe. it's particularly in this COVID season. I also track and monitor policy state to state that affects the beauty and barber industry. So I've been reading bills for a very, very long time. For those of you that don't know, this is not my first run, not my second run, not my third, not my fourth. This is actually my fifth consecutive run for office. I ran for the Georgia State Senate in 2014, 16, and 2018. That race was actually won, a whole nother story behind it, but got back on the campaign trail in 2020, where I was in that special election to the United States Senate, where Senator Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler were the front runners. We came in sixth place out of 21 candidates, where the 5 ahead of us had millions of influence. So I call us the first place grassroots candidate. But I'll tell you, I've always talked very boldly about race, racism, and race relations. I've never shied away from it. It's always been at the forefront of my campaigns, because I know that that is the root to our divide in this country. And this is where America heals. And America can be the great nation that it is. I am a reparationist. I talked in 2020, took that to the national stage in that race to the United States Senate, and back on the campaign now, talking again very boldly about the needs of the Black community, and reparations is at the top of my agenda. So I again want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my campaign, and I look forward to the rest of the dialogue this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tamara Johnson. You finished up in under 5 minutes. Mr. Robinson, please feel free to go ahead with your first question.
Thank you. My question is, how would you define leadership?
Leadership is, what a great question, and thank you for that. I'll be brief, but I believe that it is the ability to listen, and not just listen with your head. I believe that you have to listen with your heart, with your spirit. And to me, that is the definition of good leadership. So thank you for that question.
Dr. Campbell, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I want to greet you as a member of the Democratic Party for DeKalb. I don't know if you're still active, but you were a very active, involved member with the DeKalb Democratic Party when I was chair. I want to ask you, do you think we can legislate anything to stop big corporations from giving unlimited funds to candidates, which would make it more equitable for other people to run?
Oh, yes, ma'am. And thank you for your leadership. I followed you. I followed you around DeKalb for quite a number of years, and God bless you. I remember when your husband passed away, we were all there. So my prayers are with you. And I remember your son. So thank you. It's great to see you, Ms. Campbell. Great to see you. But yeah, how we get beyond that is those of us who are running, we have to say no. You know, they're going to continue to pour money at us and try to offer us all these incentives to pick up their interest. But I think when we start saying no, that is how we get money out of politics. So thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tamara Johnson Shealy. For some reason, I always want to mix her middle and last name up. So thank you for your time. Next, we're going to ask State Representative Derrick Jackson. He's running for Lieutenant Governor. Representative, please go ahead with your 5 minutes. It's our pleasure to have you.
Again, thank you, Chairman Howe, for having us this evening. As it was stated, I am Derrick Jackson. I'm a state representative of the 64th House District. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the only candidate that's running for Lieutenant Governor with 38 years of leadership, experience, and service. Let me be very, very clear. I didn't start serving just these past few years. I raised my right hand in 1983. 1983 is when I started fighting for our democracy. 1983 when I started fighting for voting rights and civil rights. Now, others love to talk about what our grandparents have done and what they've accomplished. We are in the cradle of the civil rights movement. My grandparents also marched and participated in the civil rights, but my grandparents, and I say this in the most humble way, they're not on the ballot. What my grandparents did, they instilled in me to serve. And I've been serving these last 38 years, 22 years in the United States Navy, retired naval officer, 10 years in corporate America. And even when I went to corporate America, I was still serving our community. I teamed up with nonprofit organizations like United Way and March of Dimes, raised $1.3 million to help single mothers with children. Why single mothers with children? Because I'm a product of a single parent home. My mother and my 3 baby sisters, we grew up in the most humble way. My mother's a nurse, or was a nurse. She transitioned into heaven in 2013. But before she left this world, she taught me about serving with a compassionate heart.
Mhm.
And when I ran for office in 2016 and got elected, and that's what I've been doing under the Gold Dome these last 6 years. See, it's quite simple. When you, not only as you look at this lieutenant governor race, and there are 9 candidates, look at their track record, look at where they're coming from, their compassion. See, I'm a husband and a father. My wife and I, we have 7 amazing children and a 2-year-old grandson that keeps us all young. But the reason why I'm starting off with family is simple. It's because my entire candidacy for lieutenant governor is around family. If there's nothing else we have not learned these last 3 years, dealing with this pandemic, it's all about family. You Republicans love to tout we're the #1 state to do business, but can we be the #1 state for family? See, because when you think about family, ladies and gentlemen, you got to think about healthcare, specifically women's health and children's health. Yes, men's health is important too, but women's health in particular, I'm focusing on. Why? Because in Georgia, our healthcare is ranked number 43, but women's health is ranked number 47 out of 50 states. Why is Georgia ranked on one of the highest of the top 5 when it comes down to maternal mortality? Why is it that Georgia has 70 out of 159 counties without an OBGYN, over 60 counties out of 159 counties without a pediatrician? Why is it that in the last 10 years, 8 hospitals have closed in rural Georgia? So it's one thing to talk about being big business and incentivizing big business, but I've watched this economy since I've been elected in 2016, where our budget was $19.2 billion. It has grown up to $30.1 billion. In 6 years, $11 billion. This fiscal year alone is $3.7 billion surplus. Think about it. So we don't even have to wait for the federal government to help us. We have the capability and capacity to aid ourselves. The problem is we just don't exercise political courage for family. Also, when you think about family, not just healthcare you got to think about, but public education. We have 1.8 million of our future leaders in our public education. But unfortunately, the quality of one's public education is based on the proximity to Atlanta. That's why in the last 33 days, I have traveled over 7,210 miles. I didn't stutter. 7,210 miles in 33 days. I'm the only candidate. I did not get a bus. I didn't have a chauffeur. I want to meet families where they are. And so I've been crisscrossing Georgia and out of 159 counties, I touched 52 of them, visited 52 counties. And the reason why I'm doing that is because all families should be heard, urban, suburban, and rural Georgia. And when you elect me as your lieutenant governor, you will know that you have a lieutenant governor each and every day. Wake up thinking about your family, much like I think about mine. We can do this, Georgia. Elect Derek Jackson, and I'll put my information in the chat, derekjackson.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Dr. Campbell, if you would start with your first question.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. Do you remember coming to Shy Temple CME?
I certainly do, Dr. Campbell.
That's my church. I have so
Absolutely.
many questions, but I'm going to limit it. One question I want to ask you is, and you mentioned education, what do you think the real reason behind the CRT? What do you think the real motive is behind that legislation? And would you work to eradicate that legislation?
Dr. Campbell, thank you for your question. And when you think about CRT, and for those who don't know, that's critical race theory that Dr. Campbell is referring to. This past legislative session, the Republicans basically created critical race theory as a boogeyman. Critical race theory been around for over 35 years. It started off as someone's dissertation for their PhD, much like what I'm doing for my PhD. I'm doing a dissertation around economic development. But the Republicans created a boogeyman, and they call it critical race theory because they want to do a couple of things, Dr. Campbell, and I appreciate the question. First off, they want to eradicate all the contributions about what African Americans have done to this country. In our history, number two, is there is some ugliness in our history, and our ugliness should be talked about. We should be discussing it. We should learn from it. So that way we don't have a travesty what just took place this last weekend, where someone traveled hundreds of miles to go to Buffalo, New York, and to kill someone because of the color of their skin. So critical race theory has a place in our society. We don't teach critical race theory through K through 12. In fact, it's an elective course for those who are aspiring to become lawyers, like Sister Johnson Shealy, right? She probably had that as an elective as when she was aspiring to be a lawyer. And so critical race theory has its place in our society. We need to study the past, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let us not let the Republicans create this boogeyman to create this fear and this anger and this divisiveness. And what I would do as Lieutenant Governor, to answer your question, be very clear, Dr. Campbell, I will repeal that piece of legislation, and any other form of legislation that they would try to pass through the Senate chamber, I will put it in a committee that it will not see the light of day. That's the power of the Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for your question.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Next question, Mr. Robinson, you could, and Mr. Jackson, give me the short version of this answer. Whatever this question is, give me the short version.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have everybody else saying he got 7 to 8 minutes. Why in the world you giving me 5? Don't get me jumped on because you in Atlanta and I'm down here in Middle Georgia. You can't come and help me. Brother Robinson, go ahead.
Okay. First, I would like to say thank you for your service. I definitely support your mission when it comes to the whole objective of the importance of family. And that comes to my question. What do you have? Do you have any upcoming plans when it comes to helping children that grew up in a single parent household like myself? And what type of guidance would you give those young men like myself that grew up in a single parent household?
Thank you, Mr. Robinson, for your question. I will continue to do what I'm doing now. I started mentoring young men. I'm a member of the 100 Black Men. I'm also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, where we get a chance to mentor young men to let them know, even a person like us that grew up in a single parent home can still make a difference in our society, because your past will not define your future.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. We rock to you, brother. I know you said you're gonna leave your information in the chat. That's more than fine. I'm also gonna ask you all to please feel free to leave your information on the Baldwin County Democratic Party Facebook page. On that Facebook page, the conversation can continue. Each and every single one of y'all are more than welcome to correspond with the listeners. I see from that page, this event is now being shared all over 30 different times and being viewed by a few hundred people. So I'm gonna ask those 100 people to also submit questions on that Facebook page, because it's too many to submit them on everyone. So if you do the Baldwin County Democratic Party, Millersville, Georgia Facebook page, if you can put y'all information on there individual, it'll be our pleasure to share them and reshare them as well. So thank you again, State Rep. We appreciate your time. I'm gonna go to a congressman. He's a future congressman. He has another Zoom he has to get on, so we want to make sure to get him in here. And that's our resident, one of our resident pastors. We got a couple preachers on here tonight. And Darius Butler, he's running for Congress of the 8th Congressional District. That starts in the Middle Georgia area and runs all the way down to South Georgia. People in South Georgia thinks it starts down there, but it really does not. Exactly. Brother Darius Butler, 5 minutes, please. Be mindful of your time.
Of course, of course.
I just want to first thank you so much, Brother Howell, for inviting me on here. And I want to thank all of the statewide candidates who are coming on this call. You know, every time we do this call, I love to get on and just give you guys a shout out because, you know, I remember the times when people didn't look at Middle and South Georgia. I remember the times when people didn't come down here to fight for our votes. And it's so important to me that you guys are coming, that you guys are here, because I'm telling you, we've got some fire down here that's ready to be activated. So I'm like Brother Howell said, I'm Reverend Darius Butler, the Democratic nominee for the 8th Congressional District. A little bit about myself. Before anything, I have been an activist in my life. I got my start in 2012, where I was a part of organizing the Trayvon Martin rally that happened downtown on Spring Street. And I remember at that moment in my life, because it was very impactful, you know, looking out over the crowd when everybody had a sense of defeat. You know, we were all hurting after that situation. And in the air was an aura of happiness, an aura of we're going to get through this, an aura of we can make that. And throughout my life, I've brought that to everything that I do, that no matter how dim the light may be, we can't let the light go out. We have to continue to burn it bright and fight every day for every opportunity that we have. So I just want everybody to know that we are continually fighting to ensure that that light burns as brightly as possible. Throughout this, I am a history nerd at best, much like Brother Robinson, a former Morehouse man. And for me, this is something that's great to my heart. And I want to give you a humongous shout out, my young brother, because it takes young folks getting involved. When I first jumped into this race, I had so many people tell me, you know, you're too young to get involved. You're too young to start fighting. And truth be told, you are never too young to stand up for what you believe in. And so here I am now fighting for this race, believing that we can flip this district, and it's only together that we can do so. So I want to just leave you all with that. I am a true believer in fighting for the cause, and this is a cause that I will go to my grave saying we're going to fight till the last breath is out of our bodies. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over, and thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor. Mr. Robinson, go ahead with your question.
Shout out to Morehouse. But no, my question is, what strategies do you have to reduce or to fight against police brutality?
Most definitely, man. Legislation is going to be the most important thing. And that legislation is going to happen in one of two ways. For me, because I have a background in, you know, social justice and activism, and just my own personal family ties with people, you know, who are in my family who are elected sheriffs and police officers, we've got to better fund these officers. We've got to make sure that we give them the support that they need. We got to make sure that we give them the investment that they need, because there is no reason whatsoever that someone can go wear a badge, become a servant for this city, for these counties, for these towns, and not have the investment to know how to diffuse situations, how to work with mental illness situations, and how to actually make sure that every situation does not end with gunfire. So it's going to take legislation and it's going to take investment. And I truly believe if we merge the two, if we make sure that we do a better job with better funding these towns and these counties to make sure that their officers are taken care of, we can do a phenomenal job in bringing down police brutality. Another thing that I want to give a big shout out to, I believe it was DeKalb County. DeKalb County did this thing where they were telling officers, if you live in this area, if you come and move into these communities where you work at, we're going to make sure that you have a lower cost of living, you know, when it comes to your rent and mortgage. And that is something that I think makes sense across the board from a federal standpoint, to make sure that police officers who are serving these communities live in these communities. You know, a lot of times, especially us being down here in Middle and South Georgia, we know the officers because they live next door to us. You know, they live down the street. We have a direct connection to them.
And I think implementing that from a legislative standpoint, making sure that officers are familiar with the area, they have ties and connections to the areas, you're going to bring down a lot of the issues right there.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Campbell, go ahead.
Okay, I have a 3-part question, but 2 of them are just a yes or no answer.
Okay.
The first question is, do you have a copy of Vessels in your church? Have you heard of Vessels?
A copy of Vessels. I cannot say that I have.
Okay.
I can't say that I have.
Yeah, because Vessels isn't a document that was approved legally by the Methodist denominations to tell you what a church can and cannot do.
Right.
And so we can dispel some of those myths that people think you can't do to
Oh,
lose
yeah.
your status. The other thing is, have you ever been to the Congressional Black Caucus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. On the federal level, not with the state. So I'm looking forward to coming to the state of Georgia real soon.
Okay, now they have one every September in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And it's already on schedule. So I'd like to know whether you're elected or not. I've been going for 15 consecutive years. And my last question is, share with us a conflict resolution program that you have in your church, not only for youth, but for parents.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And conflict resolution, man, we have so many. Dr. Campbell, we have so many conflict resolutions. I'm going to try to narrow it down to one. But in my church, the one thing that was very important to me that I wanted to fight for, because I also started a nonprofit that focused on this, was fair housing and adequate housing opportunities. So what we did with the church was to make sure that if people are having issues with having their homes, the church, went and we made sure that we could purchase some houses, little rental properties, things like that. So that way, when our members, or even people who are not our members, people that are in need, have somewhere to go, need somewhere to go, they have somewhere to go. And it's something that I think is so important, because oftentimes, just like Brother Howell said in the onset, we have a lot of situations going on where people need that type of help. People need that assistance. So in my church, and I can truly say this with my uncle, the Reverend Dr. Ellery Freeman, and my grandfather, the Reverend Dr. James H. Butler, we do a phenomenal job to our ability to make sure that we actually invest in situations and not just say, hey, let's pray about it. We actually put some work behind it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we move on, I want to go to the state school superintendent. We have a gentleman here who's a dentist. Actually, we got 2 dentists on, so this is one of the dentists. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's a pediatric dentist, and he's in a pretty heavily contested race for a state school superintendent. And I'm going to do my best to not chop his first name up. Dr. Jaha Howard. Brother Howard, can you unmute, please? I see him on. Brother Howard, come calling you again. All right, so we'll move and come back to Dr. Howard. We'll come back to him. Maybe he just stepped away for a second. Miss Sheila Edwards. I love your setup behind you. Everybody know what you running for and how you running. Introduce yourself, Miss Sheila Edwards, to everyone, and we'll go to you next. You're muted, Miss Edwards. I don't know if she can hear you. I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. All right, so Miss Edwards, try to fix that, and we'll move on and come back to. Okay, Miss Edwards, can you say something now? You unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Now we got you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. First, I would like to thank you for hosting this forum and for inviting me to be a part of it. And I want to start off by apologizing for my voice, because I'm at the tail end of some bronchitis and sprinkled with a little bit of pollen. So I will try to be as clear in my speech as possible, but I'm Sheila Edwards, business owner, community advocate, and candidate for Public Service Commission. Community advocacy, empowerment, and helping others has always come naturally to me since I was a child growing up in the low country of South Carolina. Since moving to Metro Atlanta with my family in the 90s, I've been steadfastly working to better the lives of others around me. Residing in Cobb County, I've been involved in genuine issues that impact the quality of life of families, seniors, and veterans. From advocating for community-free waste dumps and landfills to advocating for affordable housing and better economic development. I've done it all and have not slowed down yet. Many people are unaware of the work of the Public Service Commission and how it impacts our lives from gas and electricity to telecommunications, cable, and more. I'm running to advocate for all Georgians to ensure that we are in the room, at the table, and part of the decision-making process. Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me. Part of the decision-making process on issues that impact us and our families. We need a strong voice to be part of the decision and to remind this agency that we must look out for the needs of all Georgians, not just those at the top. I'm running because we need someone who is sensitive to our needs, reflective of our community, and ready to be the voice for families and businesses on critical issues that define our lives on the Georgia Public Service Commission. I'm a product of an HBCU, Benedict College, where I received my bachelor's in communications, and I received leadership training and management training from Emory Business School. As a small business owner that employs dozens of Georgians, I know firsthand the importance and value of a strong workforce and its impact on our overall economy. Coupled with my experience from working in corporate America, I have a deeper understanding and appreciation for tough but thoughtful business decisions that must be made for the benefit of others. During my professional career, I've held a variety of public and private sector positions, including serving as the Assistant Executive Director for the City of Atlanta's Charter Review Commission, Communications Consultant to the City of Atlanta Bond Referendum Program, Director of the Atlanta Host Committee for the National Conference of Black Mayors Annual Convention, Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Intergovernmental Relations for an international airport retailer, District Director for a United States Congressman, Director of Public Affairs for a County District Attorney's Office, and Chief Communications Officer for a large Georgia county. Working in and around government on a local, state, and federal level taught me the importance of bringing stakeholders, our community, and our government together for a common good. I will use the talents I gained from my professional experiences to interface with community leaders, governments, and other stakeholders on the issues that matter to families and businesses as the next Public Service Commission for District 3. For more information on my campaign and how you can help me be successful on May 24th, please visit my website at electsheila.com, hashtag Sheila E for PSC, and I put my information in the chat. And again, thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this forum.
It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you for what you're doing. Brother Robinson, if you will, go ahead with your first question.
Okay, thank you. My question is, what programs do your campaign have planned to bring job opportunity awareness to the youth in the local communities?
Well, I think that's an important question, and thank you for asking it. I think a lot of times folks have to understand the lanes that each one of these offices travel. The office of PSC travels the lane that regulates your utilities. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a voice on the other issues that impact the community. We may not be able to drive it, but we can be a part of the bus that's helping to push the issue. So in terms of being able to do other things within the community, I'm all for trying to empower the community, trying to get resources from the Public Service Commission to make sure that we're touching our youth, empowering them in whatever ways possible, and supporting the organizations that are out there doing the work to make sure that our youth are stayed on the straight and narrow. It's not an easy job, And we're just glad that people are stepping forward and being the ones to help make this possible so that our youth can become productive parts of our society instead of out there doing things that will allow them to go down a bad path. So thank you so much for that question, and anything that I can do once I'm Public Service Commissioner for District 3 to help move the needle on this topic, I'm more than happy to do. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Campbell, I gotta tell you, y'all asking some questions I don't think these candidates have gotten asked before. Y'all surprising me with some of these questions. I mean, they done took out pencils and paper, they jotting and everything. I don't know what's gonna come out y'all mouth. Please go ahead, Dr. Campbell.
Okay. I want to ask you, Ms. Airways, I want to say that I know a friend that you may know who finished Benedict College, and she spoke very highly of you for your candidacy. But I want to ask you, if you are elected, or maybe I should say when, what is the first policy change you would make in that department?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question because there's so many different things. And as I've done other forums, I've talked about the fact that I live alone. And when I get my utility bills and I'm seeing a bill for $400 for my electricity, I'm astonished by that. And I can't imagine what a family of four is looking at with their utility bills. Whenever Georgia Power, Southern Company, or Plant Vogtle decides that they've got a rate increase or want a rate increase, they go to the PSC and they get it done. No questions asked. And of course, there's always that we're going to talk about it in the meeting, but you know that these conversations happen before the meeting even happens. And the decisions are already made. And they come in and they pretend like they're having a conversation and going through the debate, but they're not really doing that. So my focus is going to be trying to figure out how to make sure that we're doing all the things we can do to help reduce the cost and for people around the table. I looked at one of the things that the Public Service Commission put in place, the solar panel program. They put that in place and they put a limit of 5,000 people to participate. The state is made up of 10.5 million people. They weren't serious about trying to create situations for the consumer, the people in the community to be able to participate and reduce their utility costs. They were just putting it in place to be able to check a box. Well, my first thing would be to open that program up to allow more people to participate and be able to change the trajectory of their utility bills so that they're using solar and whatever other elements are out there to reduce their utilities. The other part of this conversation is going in and knowing that you're the only Democrat that might be among a group of Republicans. My posture is always trying to figure out consensus on issues. Let's find the issues that we can agree about and make those things happen, and then try to tackle the things that we don't agree about. And my posture would be to put a human side to it, put a face to it, and make them understand that the decisions that they're making impact real people. And you may not be able to see them in the rooms when you're making these decisions, but they're out there. And so we need to be cognizant of everything that we do that impacts people and businesses when it comes to the Public Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Howard is back with us now. Dr. Howard, you there, sir? I got a text that said you was back on. All right, so we'll move on and we'll come back to you, Dr. Howard. Tell you, I don't get a chance to do this often. Let me, Fred, are you a minority usually? Is this one of the first times you've been a minority this week? So you're the only one on here with a beard. That's what I'm talking about. You're the only one with a beard.
hey, Reverend Butler has a beard, doesn't he? So,
yeah, but he's not on right now. So
and
I had to think about that one before I said that one. Okay, I thought about that. Fred Swan is running for agricultural. Hope I get this right. Agricultural Commissioner.
That's correct.
This is his second run from that. He's from the Middle Georgia area. Now he lives in a different part of the state.
I do.
Please take your 5 minutes, sir.
Quentin T, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation to come and talk. My name is Fred Swan. I am ready to be Georgia's next Agriculture Commissioner. Just a little bit about me. Most of you know me, but those who don't, from 2014 to 2018, I was the 8th Congressional District Chair for the Democratic Party of Georgia. So, Reverend Butler, I know exactly the area that you're talking about. And that area is what originally taught me the core values that come from this campaign. I learned mostly about those counties. They had 3 things in common. They're rural, agricultural, and they're poor. And it was the fact that those 3 things go together so often, coupled with the fact that agriculture is Georgia's #1 industry, and the fact that none of that should be going together is what led me in 2018 to run for and become the Democratic nominee for Agriculture Commissioner. Ran alongside Stacey Abrams in that run and a lot of other great folks. Obviously, we didn't quite cross the finish line, came up a little short, but I'm proud of the race that we ran because not only did we increase our vote share by 70% cycle over cycle, but we also brought up new issues that people had not been talking about before. And now we're ready and we're back. I'll just go ahead and tell you, before that, between those races, I've been working as an advocate and a lobbyist under the Gold Dome, working with legislators, business leaders, and activists on a range of rural economic and agricultural issues and trying to put forward better legislation. Got married, moved to Gainesville, far away from my home in Middle Georgia, started a mushroom farm, but I never lost sight of the fact that the job wasn't done. And so I'm not just back because we had such a tremendous response last time. I'm not just back because it's now an open seat. I'm back because the job is not done. Where I come from, if you start a job, you finish a job. And what's the job that's not done? First of all, we still need to protect and increase the number of small family farms throughout the state. I have a special focus on Black farmers. We've seen a decrease of 90% in our Black farmers over the past century. And I want to reverse that here in Georgia. I want to create a special division within the department that is for new and returning farmers to help guide them through the labyrinthine process of not just USDA and NRCS loans, but also starting a business plan, finding your market, all of those things that are so vital to starting a new farm. I want to use all of these new farmers who are going to be working towards self-determinations of self-sufficiency for their communities as a way to combat increasing and rampant food insecurity throughout the state. I've heard on this campaign and before that, these areas called food deserts. I'm just going to tell you, on our campaign, we don't really use that term very much. The reason being is because deserts are a natural phenomenon and food deserts are made by policy and they're man-made. And these areas often impact Black and brown communities more than any. So we're going to use the phrase that we've learned from California food activist Olympia Offset, food apartheid, because that's what it is. And we're going to treat it as such. I am going to work to create more grocery stores and supermarkets in more communities, such as Crawford County. A lot of you know Crawford, and it hasn't had a real grocery store since the Piggly Wiggly closed in 2010. I want to work to create more farmers markets, pop-up markets, even mobile markets in these communities that actually draw in locally sourced fresh fruits, vegetables, and meats. And I want us to create tax abatement zones that will actually allow, if you have a certain percentage of locally sourced food, you would get a tax break so you can more easily be in those communities. Folks, I've been working on cannabis, making certain that more people of more communities, especially Black and brown communities, have access to this life-giving plant, both for consumers and producers. Folks, we have a tremendous opportunity to make change all throughout the state, but I'm going to need your help. So please feel free to go to our website, fredforgeorgia.com. That's all words, all one word. You can go to facebook.com/fredforgeorgia, Twitter @fredforgeorgia, Instagram fredforgeorgia, and together we can make agriculture for all a reality here in Georgia. And I'll put that all of that in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And remember, the Baldwin County Democratic Party, Millersville, Georgia Facebook page as well. Fred, just a point, you can't say I'm working on cannabis and have a long pause because the mind started wondering. And, you know, all you said, well, I'm working on cannabis. I'm like,
yeah,
agriculture commission.
I'm just growing some, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm working on cannabis policy, but honestly, you know, I'm working to make certain that more people can say they're growing it in their fields.
You did, and if I'm gonna get the other two questions, please be mindful of time because I have another candidate to get to, got to get off very quickly. But you did generate you actually the first person to generate another question. So I'm gonna ask this, you try to answer this as quickly as possible. First one, how will you protect small farmers and ensure that the resources are distributed equitably? Excuse me.
The biggest thing that when I talked with small farmers, the biggest thing they tell me is that they just need help in getting the resources that they know are out there. They want someone in the department who will walk them through the process. And in fact, they need someone who speaks their language in terms of the things they may be trying to work on, especially if you're working in sustainable agriculture. My friend of the campaign, Wayne Swanson, Swanson Family Farms, starting a big 500-acre project with 19 other families down in Toomsboro. And they're trying to do it as a permaculture project. And literally, he's going to all of the USDA and NRCS folks and telling them, hey, you know, we need funding for this thing. We have a plan. We have experienced farmers and growers and ranchers, and we're ready to go. And they're questioning every single thing they're doing left and right because what they're doing is based upon permaculture and not upon conventional agriculture. And it's like there's like these people who are very experienced are getting talked to like they're novices. And we need someone in the department who's going to make certain to protect the people who don't know what they're doing, but also to help the people who do know what they're doing to get them to the next level.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Brother Robinson, I saw you writing with the question. And remember, Fred, quickly.
Okay, what caught my attention when you was talking about agricultural legislation. So my question is, what agricultural legislation do you have in mind to help farmers in the state of Georgia?
Okay, so right off the top of my head, I will tell you that the biggest thing that we can do is, I've talked about cannabis, we can actually deal with hemp here in the state of Georgia. The hemp program here is an absolute disaster. We started with 12 processors here in the state, but because of the high fees, right now the fees are about $25,000 per year. Whereas in Florida, it's like $600 per year to have a permit. And they've been nearly driven out of the state. There's one left that's about to go out. I would like to work with legislators to bring those fees down, make the program more equitable, and make certain that the people who have been over-policed and over-criminalized for cannabis are the first ones in line to take advantage of it. That is one area among many that we will work with in the legislature.
Thank you very much. Dr. Campbell, does you have a question?
I want to ask you, what is the cost for maybe a 30-second commercial? And are you able to fund commercials with your campaign for TV ads?
I will say this. I don't know offhand what the cost is. I know that my campaign priced it and we dismissed it out of hand. Becoming a swing state, as Leader Abrams would say, understanding that we're blue and confused, has brought up the prices of literally everything. So I would say, I don't know what it costs. I know it is far out of the hands of just about every grassroots down ballot campaign such as myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, and if you're on iPhone and your name ain't on, try to put your name on if you can. I think I got Brother Dukes there. I think that's him. So I just want to make sure. If not, put your name on there. Our next candidate is someone that I know Dr. Campbell know very well. He has served as the treasurer of our DPG, and I think he has accompanied me in every single Democratic convention I ever been to, and I've been to all of them since 2008. And that's a former state House of Representatives member, former state senator, or current state senator, and also a dentist, Dr. Lester Jackson. If you will, take your 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very, very much. Middle Georgia is very happy. I'm very honored to be a part of this forum. I'm Lester Jackson. I'm a candidate to be Labor Commissioner for the great state of Georgia. After 20 plus years of service in the General Assembly, you have prepared me for this job. I'm a past treasurer of the Democratic Party of Georgia. I'm a past member of the DNC. I'm past chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, a 7-year veteran of the United States Navy. I've been assistant whip in the House and in the Senate. I also served as vice chair of the Senate Democratic Caucus. But I just want to tell you, with all these accomplishments and titles, I just want to let you know that this is a season for proven leadership. This is a season for proven leadership. And when I'm Labor Commissioner, we just won't be the unemployment office. We'll be the future employment office. And let me say that again. When I'm Labor Commissioner, we just won't be the unemployment office. We'll be the future employment office, because that's important when we look for jobs and look for job opportunities. The Labor Department needs to be a place where people go and look for opportunities in Georgia, look for opportunities for their families, look for opportunities for their own self-being. My first professional job was a bricklayer. But let me tell you something about me that you don't know. I was born in Vidalia, Georgia, but I'm from Alamo. We call it the Mo. You know, the mighty Wheeler County Bulldogs. I know y'all. I know when I say Wheeler County Bulldogs, everybody shout and say hooray. But yes, I'm a proud, Wheeler County resident. But my first professional job was that of a bricklayer. My first job was cropping tobacco down in Wheeler County, and that's a man's work. But I want you to know that as a bricklayer, the second most important person in my life was my teacher, Roscoe Rowell. He was my vocational education teacher. Working in vocational education in high school in 10th grade, he taught me the value of having a skill. But more than the value of having a skill, he taught me the value of working and the meaning of self-accomplishments. Because once you have a skill in your brain, you're going to always have an opportunity to have a job. He said, man, he told me, once you learn how to lay bricks, you will never be broke. And that's something that we need to instill in high school students right now today, and in young people today, the value of having a skill. And it's not just about bricklaying, because I want to reinstitute vocational and technical skills back in high schools. We talk about, being a dental hygienist, or being a nurse, assistant, being a plumber, electrician, a heat and air technician, or cement finisher. All those are jobs that pay livable wages that we can move our people to, because we know that 80% of the jobs that's going to be needed in the next 10 years is going to require some sort of technical or vocational skill and not a 4-year college degree. So as your next Labor Commissioner, I understand that because I was there. I understand that because I understand the needs of Georgians. I'm vice chair of Payne College Trustee Board, but I'm a 2-time HBCU alumnus, an alumnus of Payne College and also alumnus of Meharry Medical College. So I understand the need for higher education, but I also understand the need to teach young people that's not going to college or desire to do something else, to use their skills right at home to make sure that they have a livable wage. So I'm that candidate that will continue to fight for affordable housing. I'm that candidate that will continue to fight for a livable wage. I'm that candidate that will fight against misclassification of employees. I'm that candidate that will fight for Medicaid expansion. I'm that candidate that will be an advocate for apprenticeship programs for all people in this great state. I'm that candidate that will fight for vocational skills in our prisons. I'm the candidate that will fight for technical education for high school students. And I think that those technical skills should even go back in middle school so that young people start early in 8th grade to learn the value of, to learn about technical and vocational skills so they know that they can earn a livable wage, so give them some reason to stay in school so they won't drop out.
Thank you.
Oh, that's 5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I close it saying this? As your next labor commissioner, I care about accessibility, because you need a labor commissioner that's going to be accessible, a labor commissioner that's going to provide job opportunities, and a labor commissioner that's going to do quick response to benefit claims. I'm that person. This is a season for proven leadership. I'm seasoned, I'm tested, and I'm proven. Thank you very much. I'm proud to be from Middle Georgia, but more importantly, I'm proud to be a part of a group that's going to move Georgia forward. I'm Lester Jackson. Visit me on lesterforlabor.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. Dr. Campbell sounds, she's trying to fix that. She's going to jump back on, but while she's doing that, Mr. Robinson, go ahead with your question, sir.
Actually, he answered all my questions. So, but I do. I want to ask you another.
With that.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. I'm not gonna lie, and I just want to say I commend you for everything that you're doing in your work and your plans that you have in the future. However, what programs do you have planned or stored to bring job awareness to the youth in local communities?
Well, sir, that's an excellent question. In fact, that's a great question for a young man. I want to start in middle school to have programs that introduce young people in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade to vocational skills or technical skills that's out there that pay a livable wage. Oftentimes, we find out that young people in middle school don't know about coding and don't know that if they just do coding, they can make $80,000 a year. That they can start with doing computer programming right in high school. And once they graduate high school, they can enter a job making $75,000, $80,000 a year. And you know, you can do as far as video programming, which a lot of, well, my kids like video programming. Every time I go in my room, you know, tell my kids to get off the video, they say, Dad, I'm practicing my craft so I can get a job. But there are so many job opportunities that we can introduce young people at such a young age that will encourage them to stay in school, but also provide them that needed benefit while in school, that they can get a job while in school. Because now my dad was a vocational teacher also. In his class, he had many young people going to school in the morning, and he found them a job that afternoon so they can buy shoes, provide help their families, but more importantly, teach them a sense of accomplishments. So all I'm really doing is carrying on the work of my father. My father was a vocational education teacher, and I understand what it meant. I understand what it meant to me. I understand what it meant to him. I just want it in every high school across this great state.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Doctor. And it's interesting you came on now. We just had 2 to 3 different Savannah area groups join and share this event. So we have about 20 in Atlanta that is actively sharing and streaming this now, 2 or 3 down in Savannah, and several here in Middle Georgia. We're almost at 40 different platforms at this very second, with several hundred people listening. So to each and every single one of you all who are watching this at this point, thank you very much, and I do appreciate that. Dr. Howard, are you back yet?
I am. Thank you so much.
Bam, there you go. Thank you, Senator Jackson. I appreciate you. Dr. Howard, he's running for state school superintendent. You got 5 minutes. Be mindful of your time, please, sir. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I appreciate you hosting this forum and all the great folks who've been doing the work for so long. I'm just grateful to be on here. My name is Dr. Jaha Howard. I have the pleasure of serving on the Cobb County Board of Education, where we oversee a budget of over $1.3 billion, 103,000 children, the largest employer in Cobb County. We do big work. But we learned some things along the way, and we have some of the, our county really reflects Georgia. It's some of the most rural areas, some of the most urban areas, some of the most high income areas, and some of the most low income areas, all housed together in Cobb County. We have one of the most diverse counties in the state of Georgia. And as a sitting school board member, I've been able to sit front row seat and see the lack of leadership we've been getting from our state Department of Education and our state superintendent, Richard Woods. At the end of the day, we can go a lot of different directions here, y'all, but our children across the state of Georgia, generally speaking, are not reading on grade level, period. Are not reading on grade level. So if our kids are not learning to read, they cannot read to learn. Somehow our graduation rates are going up, but in every measurable way, when compared to other states, we are flat. We are flat. We're not doing well. We're average at best, sometimes below average on most metrics. It is a shame that in Georgia, that we don't have a vision of being the number one place to educate your child. And it takes a new type of leadership. COVID taught us a lot. We realize that public education can change. Public education can adapt and be flexible and work with community partners and work with for-profits and not-for-profits and faith-based organizations. We can do it, but it takes a sense of urgency, and it takes leadership that's ready to get out there and tell the hard truth and do the hard work. And that's the leadership that we've been bringing as a community leader, organizing parents to make sure that our schools are doing better and better in our own backyard. That's the leadership that we bring as a pediatric dentist, as a business owner, a job creator, and working with the community in our own backyard. That's what we do as a volunteer. That's what we do as a school board member. And now, as many of you understand, you start learning and you start seeing who's making some of these decisions, and you can't unsee it. Now you got to make a decision. What are you going to do about it? And my wife and I, we talked about it, we prayed about it, and determined that it is best for us to answer the call. And we're going to run, and we're going to win the nominee for Georgia State School Superintendent. I look forward to earning your vote. We have an exciting platform about early literacy with the birth to third grade approach, working collaboratively, not just with educators, but working with nonprofits, working with our medical community to make sure our kids are literate. We understand that the size of our solutions have to match the size of our problems. No more box checking and patting ourselves on the back for a great job. No, we need to make sure the job is done and done well where it can be felt on the ground, whether you're in Middle Georgia, North Georgia, South Georgia, whether you're in a rural area, a suburban area, or an urban area. We have to make sure we get the work done. And that's what we're going to do. So thank you again. And I talked to superintendents all over the state, and they are saying, look, we need somebody with the backbone, somebody with vision and leadership, and that's what we bring. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. Dr. Campbell is back. Do you have a question for Dr. Howard, please?
I do. I'm sorry, I got cut off then. I couldn't get back in. I had to wait on you. But my question is this. I wrote the legislation that says each school board member in a congressional district has to have an annual meeting in their district. I wrote it and gave it to my representative. He presented it, he got it passed. Now, what will you do to ensure that these state school board members meet in their district? I have called mine numerous times. They are not having the annual meeting. So what would you do to make sure they have it? Because a lot of the community don't know that they're supposed to be meeting with them.
You're absolutely right. And I really appreciate you working on that legislation, getting it passed and holding what you're doing is setting the infrastructure to make sure we can hold our elected officials and appointed officials accountable.
Right.
Well, here's the issue. We have too many people that don't even know that a state board exists. Too many people that I go around the state don't even know we have a state school superintendent. So, and it's not the fault of the people. We aren't doing, when I say we, I say the state of Georgia, the leaders in the state of Georgia, we have to do the job. And right now we have a superintendent who is basically picking and choosing which things he wants to focus on. And those things tend to not be the ones that help a lot of our Black and brown children, tend to be the ones that are not holding folks accountable. He hides. And as soon as things get hot, the water gets hot, he's out of there. When political pressure is high, he's folding like a lawn chair. And when we talk about holding people accountable, that is exactly the type of leadership that we bring. Even if it's unpopular, even if it makes us uncomfortable, this is public education. It belongs to the public. And too often we run it like it's some type of private enterprise and you have to be part of an in crowd to know what's going on. So it's a matter of following the rules and doing it. And so you have already helped set the infrastructure in place. Now it's a matter of just calling a thing a thing. And that's what we're missing from leadership when it comes to public education in the state.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson.
Okay, I have two questions.
Oh,
The first question.
Two quick answers now, Doc. Two quick answers, but 2 questions.
No pressure, no pressure.
Okay, the first question is, how would you bridge the gap between public education systems and suburban public education systems when it comes to inequality to, equal curriculum? And my second question is, do you think financial literacy courses should be a required course in the education curriculum?
I appreciate those questions. I'll start with the second one. Yes, I agree that financial literacy should be required. And I believe we have recent legislation that makes that just so. So that's something that is developing and the process is going on that. So that's great. And I believe the first question you were talking about inequities between like urban and suburban districts.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm driving through a neighborhood and I'm in certain neighborhoods, schools look a certain way. And then I go in other neighborhoods and schools look like it's a college campus. Right? So the challenge is that what we're having is the schools are a reflection of the income inequality that we have in our metro areas. Wealth is escaping, finding their own pockets and hoarding that wealth. And then it turns into this kind of arms race of wealth between one suburb and another suburb. And there are folks in the rural areas and some urban areas are being left behind. Here's the thing, the state school superintendent by law, by Georgia code, is literally supposed to ensure that education is happening to a certain standard. That means that the superintendent has to go and see for himself or herself what's going on. But our state superintendent does not do that. He only visits the school district so he can take a great photo op. They're already with some friends, but I don't see him in the hood. I see him in some rural areas, if Kemp says it's okay, but he's not in some of those areas that we're talking about. And that's what it's about. We have the infrastructure in place to do the job. We just need the individuals with leadership, with courage to work with urgency and just say, let's do it. Let's do it. We don't have time to wait. You show me a kid that can wait another 5, 6, 7, 8 years for a better building.
Thank you.
For better curriculum, for better books. So the infrastructure is in place. We just got to get the job done.
All right. Was that your second question, Mr. Robinson, or did you have another one?
He answered both of the questions.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure.
All right. And thank you for coming back to me. I do appreciate that.
Not a problem. My pleasure, doctor. My pleasure. Our goal is to give everyone who we can some oxygen. Let's go to a state race if we can. We got 2 state level candidates on. We have the young lady Hogan Harrison Walton running for State House of Representatives, and we also have Valerie Rogers who's running for State Senate. Let's start with Hogan Harrison. If you could give us your 5 minutes, please. I see you got your little donate thing in the background, so you taking this. I feel you. I see you.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for hosting this forum. My name is Attorney Hogan Harrison Walton, and I'm running for State House District 133, and that covers Baldwin and Jones counties. And just a little bit about my background. I went to Spelman College, then from there I went and got my MBA, and then I went to law school, and I established my practice back in Milledgeville, Georgia, where I have been practicing for 13 years in the areas of family, criminal, and juvenile. I currently serve as the guardian ad litem for all the children that are in defect care in Baldwin County and Jones County. So I understand the needs that are impacting our community, the mental health issues, the devastating substance abuse issues. These are some of the issues that are impacting our families and tearing our families apart. And as the next district, House district for 133, I endeavor to change some of those issues that are impacting our families and tearing our families apart. And my platform is health, security, and prosperity. Health, making sure that everyone has access to health care. You know, it's really, really appalling that Jones County does not have a hospital and they barely have health care providers. They either have to go to Milledgeville or to Macon to get majority health care services. And so we need to make sure that every community has those basic medical services, general practitioners, OBGYN, a hospital, a 24-hour non-emergency care. These are some of the essentials. We're not even talking about specialists. Security. We have seen a devastating increase in gun violence in Baldwin County, and the guns that are on the streets are in the hands of our youth. When we were knocking on doors, and Quinn was with me, we saw a 16-year-old with a Glock on his side. And it is just appalling to see that a 16-year-old has a Glock on his side, and the mother is standing there not at all one bit concerned that her 16-year-old has a Glock on her side because he needs security. I don't know what he needs protection from, but he has a Glock on his side. So we need to make sure we're taking these guns off the street and making sure that we are protecting families, keeping them together. And prosperity. We need to bring jobs and not just these fast food restaurants into Baldwin and Jones County. We need major factory jobs, bringing hundreds of jobs, not just simply 10 and 12 jobs, which is a wonderful, any company coming to Baldwin and Jones County is wonderful, but we need jobs that are going to provide health care, retirement planning, longevity, and ways to improve the quality of life. And so these are some of the issues that are impacting Baldwin County, and I will be working to make sure that we remedy these areas and we pay attention to rural Georgia, because rural Georgia does not get the attention. If we're not Metro Atlanta, no offense to Metro Atlanta, I love you guys, but that's where all the resources go. And then from there, it trickles down to Columbus and Augusta and Savannah and Macon. But once you get past those areas, we get maybe the little trinkets. We get the little drops, and that is not fair. And in rural Georgia has been the backbone behind Georgia, and it's time for rural Georgia to stand up and get the job that they deserve, the health care they deserve, the security.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robinson?
Yes. So my question is, when it comes to economic development, a lot of small businesses have been facing a lot of challenges when it comes to lack of funding. So have you or have your campaign party have been talking about giving out grants or loans to help small businesses progress their businesses?
Absolutely. And the one of the issues that we have in Baldwin and Jones County is we need small businesses. We also need the labor pool. And we have 3 major institutions here. We have Georgia Military College, we have Central Georgia Technical College, and we have Georgia State. Those 3 institutions can provide the labor. If we can work together and provide the funding for small businesses, working with the Chamber of Commerce, making sure that we give low interest loans to businesses, and making sure that we're providing those tools so that small businesses stay in business past that 5-year mark, because a lot of businesses tend to go out of business after 5 years. So we need to make sure we're providing those tools, and I do not believe that we're giving those tools to small businesses and making sure we're connecting them with that labor pool.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Dr. Campbell?
Yes, thank you
a
for
young, new possible representative here.
Thank you for offering yourself for this service. Let me ask you, are you a member of the African American Caucus for the DPG or for your county?
I am.
Okay, tell me what value you see in being a member of the caucus.
Well, they offer resources that that most people don't know exist. They give those trainings. They also give us access and networking to other individuals throughout the state that we may or may not know they have the resources available to help us. Because in Baldwin County, we struggle with the crab in a barrel syndrome, and so they help us making sure that we're dispelling that crab in a barrel syndrome and trying to break through and reach the demographics that we need to reach the most, making sure that we're getting out in communities and giving us those resources and the tools and the training to be able to reach those people, because with the generation today, you have to reach them in so many different ways. So they're giving us the skills and the networking ability.
Excellent. I'm so proud to hear that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say real quick, please like and follow me on Facebook, Hogan for House 133. Also, oh, there we go. At the Facebook website, please donate, like and follow me on Instagram as well. And there's my email address and contact number.
Thank you, Attorney, and hopefully a future state representative Hogan. I appreciate that. I want to go next to and people in this area might pronounce it body, but he does not pronounce it body. He pronounces it Bodie. And this is State Representative William Bodie. He's actually at another event, so we want to get him in here quickly and give him his 5 minutes. And Representative, if you can't take questions afterwards, that's understandable, because I know you're actually at another event as we speak. But please take your 5 minutes now.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on this evening. My name is State Representative William Bodie. I apologize. I'm at another event now, but I had to jump on and address the mid-state Central Georgia Democrats. I'm a proud graduate of Mercer Law School. So I lived in Macon for 2 years, right down Orange Street, right across from the law school. But I'm running to be your next Georgia Labor Commissioner. I have served in the Georgia General Assembly since 2017, elected in 2016. I've served in various leadership positions during that time. I was elected by my dear friends, some on this call, to be the House Minority Whip, which is the House Democratic Whip. I was elected to that position as a freshman. And so at the time we had 75 Democrats strong, and we have 77 in the House right now. But I'm running to be your next Georgia Labor Commissioner because I want to make sure that we put Georgia workers first in everything. During this pandemic, we have saw, and we probably know family members, neighbors, friends, fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, church members who lost their job to no fault of their own, that could not get anyone on the phone with the Georgia Department of Labor. The Georgia Department of Labor is not accessible to the citizens of the state. I look to change that. On the first day in office, I want to make sure we open up all the doors to the Department of Labor, but also I want to contract with a labor shop to make sure that we have a call center so any Georgia citizen that call into the Department of Labor can get a live human being on the phone to address their needs. If it's a question about the status of their appeal, if it's a question about the unemployment claim that they have filed and where is the money that they're supposed to be receiving because they have been approved, they can get a live human being on the phone. If they're asking what is their PIN number, they can talk to a live human being. If they want to find out workforce opportunities and jobs that may be available, they can talk to a live human being. Because we all know when you're going through some tough times, you need to tell someone needs to tell you, look, it's going to be all right, and this is how I'm going to help you. And that's what we look to do. Also, I want to make sure that we staff up the Georgia Department of Labor. When my dear friend, CEO Michael Thurman, who's the CEO of DeKalb County, when he left the office of Labor Commissioner in 2010, we had over 4,000 employees, Department of Labor. Now we have 1,100. We had over 80 career centers. Now we only have 41. And they're closed pretty much to the public. So I want to change that. Also, I want to make sure that we partner with our labor unions and worker organizations to provide apprenticeship opportunities and training and retraining opportunities. You may have heard I've been endorsed by Georgia AFL-CIO. That is organized labor in the state of Georgia. And I think it's very important to have labor endorsing me because I'm running for labor commissioner. Also, I've been endorsed by Georgia Equality, Georgia Working Families Party, Georgia Now, and also the New Georgia Project Action Fund PAC, which is a committee for New Georgia. And also I've been endorsed by over 180 Democrats across the state because they trust me and they trust my long history of working and fighting for Georgia families. And I look to do that as the next Georgia Labor Commissioner. I have also passed over 27 bills as a Democrat in the Georgia House of Representatives, including the Ahmaud Arbery Citizens Arrest Repeal legislation, which I'm very proud to say that every Democrat on this call that serves in the Georgia General Assembly voted for. And so that bill helped to get the 3 guilty verdicts coming out of Brunswick last November. And I'll end by saying this. I want to make sure that we start out with our young people and our seniors and our veterans and our small business owners to connect them with talent. That is very important. I'm going to modernize the website with the Department of Labor so you'll have a chat, just like if you go to Amazon or a law firm, somebody scroll down and it say, "Hi, my name is John. I want to help you." That's real innovative and that's real solutions to help people navigate the Department of Labor. But also I want to have a streamlined online portal. So any job seeker, veteran, or returning citizen from incarceration can get connected with small business owners and also corporations that are looking for the talent. And so I close out by saying thank you, Chairman Howell, for all that you do in Central Georgia. You've been a dear friend for a long time. I love the fact that we are connecting tonight. And thank you all for always fighting for strong democratic values in Middle Georgia and helping us to get Democrats elected across the state and on the national level as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Representative Baldwin. I understand you can't take questions where you're at, but we appreciate you coming on and making the time. Dr. Campbell, it's kind of interesting. We are over 50 different, over 40 different platforms now, on our way to over 50 with several hundred people still watching. So I feel like we're getting to, the longer we're getting close to the end because we ain't got about 6 more of you all. But I tell you, I think we got a larger audience now than what we started. So for you all that's on, that's even better for you. So let's stay in my area for a second. Let's go to our last person who's running for a state regional position. That's a state senate. And if I'm not mistaken, this is her first Zoom first Zoom candidate forum. So this is her break in. So y'all be nice to her. She's a former Army captain retiree as well as a former school teacher retiree. And now she's running for office for the first time for State Senate District 25, which is the former state Senate seat that Senator Floyd Griffin, who's on here, used to hold. He was the last African American to hold that seat, if I'm not mistaken. So, Miss Valerie Rogers, welcome. Your 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. As Quentin said, I'm a retired educator. I'm also a graduate of a HBCU, Fort Valley State University. I got my undergrad. I got my master's from University of Phoenix in curriculum and instruction. I'm a retired educator over 32 years. I retired from the Army, Signal Corps officer. My platform is education, creating awareness to train, retrain, and sustain highly qualified educators. My second one is Medicaid expansion, combat healthcare disparities by expanding Medicaid, voting, hearing your voice, and protecting your right to vote. All 3 of these are personal to me. Number 1, by me being an educator, and plus by me serving in the military. As I heard everybody said earlier, that the pandemic has changed the way we live. It has changed in our educational system. It has changed in our Medicaid expansion, our healthcare, to be more specific, and it also changed in our voting rights. Education, teachers are stressed out, classes are oversized. Yes, we did get a pay raise. They did get a pay raise. Yes, they did. However, it doesn't compare to other salaries of teachers in other states, and I did the comparison. Number two, Medicaid expansion. All Georgians need Medicaid expansion as far as quality health care, reasonable health care, as far as prices is concerned. I heard some of them say that, yes, some of the rural places in the state of Georgia, a lot of the hospitals have shut down, and that is true. Some of the clinics have closed because of lack of funding. If we were to pass and approve, and our legislators approve the Medicaid expansion for Georgia, we would have more people receiving health care, reasonable health care coverage. That's very important. Voting rights. We have got to get back to our grassroots. Our forefathers had done a lot for us to get to this point where we can afford and have the right to vote. As you all know, a lot of times we did not have that right because of the color of our skin. And now we do have that right. So we need to make sure we fight for that, and we continue to fight for it. As I said, my background is in the military. Yes, I love my family. I love my country. I love my job. I love everything I do. And also what Quentin didn't mention is that I also, since I retired after 32 years, I do a part-time job at the Boys and Girls Club because I like to give back. As I was growing up, I was also in the Girl Scouts. So again, I love to serve my country. I have served my country, and I'm here to serve our district as well. Our district is comprised of 7 counties. That's Baldwin, Butts, Jasper, Jones, Putnam, Bibb, and Henry County, which is Madonna, Georgia. So again, I'm here to serve our country. I'm here to serve our district like I did our country with pride. And I want to do the same thing for our district. And I'm hoping that everybody will vote for me. I'm praying that they will vote for me. And we'll see when the election comes. I'm going to give it all my best.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Brother Robinson, go ahead.
Yeah, so again, I would like to say thank you for your service when it comes to you being an educator over 30 years. I know working with children, you gotta have a lot of patience. But my question is, do you think mental health programs, or do you think more mental health programs should be implemented into the education system?
I do. Every child have their specialties. I call them specialties. I don't like to call them disabilities because every child is different. And do we need to have that in the system? Yes, we do. How can we accommodate that? Well, number one, with funding. You got to have people that are certified and qualified to deal with the students at the different levels, as well as the teachers. Now, again, it goes back to, you got to make sure the staff is trained. You got to make sure you have the healthcare staff in their system, because a lot of school systems don't have healthcare workers in there. Some of them did, and some of them do not because of lack of funding. And then some of them left because it wasn't paying them enough. And that's okay, that's fine. But we need to have somebody in there that's going to stay there for those kids throughout the duration, whether it's middle school, high school. My background was secondary education, high school. I'm certified from 6th through 12th grade, but I taught 9 through 12. But again, you got to have healthcare in all the schools, not just in the high school, but it needs to be there in the middle school. They need to be there in the elementary school. They need to be even there in past high school and in the colleges as well. So we need to have them in all those places that they can help those kids, whether it's mentally, physically. They need to be there for them. So yes, did I answer your question? Thank you. Thank you for that question. I appreciate that. Mr. Robinson.
Dr. Campbell, sound like you might have another good candidate for the state legislative here. Yes. And I would like to tell you all, and I'm looking down because I'm having to do multiple duties here, but Reverend Warnock group just placed this form on his page, and they just approved it. So this is now being also live streamed on Reverend Warnock's page. Dr. Campbell, you have a question for this possible legislative, this former Army captain.
Okay, I want to thank you for being a teacher. I was a teacher, a retired principal in the city schools of Decatur, a school of excellence. So I know what you went through because I went through it. But I want to ask you to share, first of all, what the minimum wage is right now for Georgia.
Ooh, you're talking about as far as the salary for teachers?
No, the minimum wage, period.
The minimum wage right now, it is about $5 and change. It should be, it was supposed to be $7 and some change, and some people are still getting $5.15. But
That's the federal. I don't want to put you on the spot. I just want to ask you because my next question is that what should the living wage be for Georgia? The living wage.
That's a good question. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. The living wage should be the living wage should be $15. And let me tell you why. And it should be done in increments, because I know the small business owner is going to have a hard time trying to pay $15 per employee because they have to be able to survive as well. So you want to have it in increments, and it should be at the discretion of the business owner. Now, large corporations, I don't want to be ugly. They got to figure it out because they get a lot of tax breaks anyway. So they need to be at the $15 living wage for a person to live in their community and in Georgia, because a lot of them are not making that. They're making ends meet. A lot of them living from paycheck to paycheck, and some of them not even living from paycheck to paycheck because they can't even afford to live off one paycheck before the other one comes in. So again, it needs to be as to where they can have a comfortable living wage where they are not living from paycheck to paycheck, wondering how they're going to feed their kids, wondering how they're going to pay their light bill. And I heard what Ms. Edwards said earlier about she was in a place where her light bill is, by her being single, her light bill was, sometimes $400 or $500 or whatever the case may be. And again, it goes back to, it have to be compatible where the person can live, where the person can pay their bills, where the person can buy their food without having to choose between the two, where the person can afford affordable health care. Affordable health care is the key. So again, it goes back to, it's got to be to the point where the person can afford to live off the wage that they're earning, which I think it should be $15. And again, it should be in increments. It should be in increments. And that's going to be up to the small business owner or the large corporation. So it might have to take some years, and it should be some incentives that the government would give that corporation or that small business, the small businesses, to help them give an incentive, like you get so many vouchers, or you get some, the government to have a way to work it out. And it needs to be as to where there's some incentives for the small business owners and for the large corporations to implement that within a certain amount of time, within probably about 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that question, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you for your answer.
State minimum wage is $5.15. The federal is $7. That's the change. So you was right with the state there. Thank you, ma'am. Sherry B. Williams, if we could have you come on. I think you're staying in for Miss Charlotte Farley.
Yes.
Find out the station is Public Service Commissioner. I'm having to memorize my whole sample ballot, so I'm making sure I got it right there. Go ahead with your 5 minutes for her, please.
Thank you. My name is Sherry Williams, and I am honored to be here on behalf of Chandra Farley. Chandra and I met actually back in 2017 when I was doing some equity work when she was working with the Partnership for Southern Equity. She wrote their energy plan while there. I am humbled to be here on her behalf as she is traveling and unable to be at this event. Chandra is running as the Democrat for the Public Service Commission. She is running to represent District 3, which covers Fulton, Clayton, and DeKalb. However, this is a statewide race, so everybody in the state gets to vote for every commissioner. The PSC regulates Georgia Power, electricity, natural gas, and landline telephone services. In other words, they decide where our energy comes from and how much we pay for utilities. Chandra is an activist at heart, raised by grandparents who remember not being able to vote and attended segregated schools. They instilled in her a sense of duty to always do what she could to advance justice and fairness. She believes that serving in public office is one of the ways to ensure justice and fairness for all people. Chandra chose the Public Service Commission for her service because she understands that the PSC decisions have consequences to all of our households, our incomes, and our future. She has been working at the intersection of energy, climate, utility accountability, and justice for over a decade. Chandra has spent a lot of time in front of all of the current Republican PSC panel intervening on behalf of Georgians overburdened by unaffordable and rising utility bills. She has demonstrated on the street outside of the PSC to push back on bill increases and has spoken out when they voted to resume shutoffs of customers during the height of COVID when people couldn't pay due to no fault of their own. For too long, far too long, the Public Service Commission has made decision after decision that increases our utility bills, harms our health, and protects the utility monopoly. She is running to change that. As the People's Commissioner, Chandra will be a voice for all Georgians, the people who feel the burden of commission decisions on their households, their incomes, and their future every single day. As your next commissioner, she will be a voice for affordable bills, clean energy for all, utility accountability, and environmental justice. The promise of an affordable, equitable, innovative future for all Georgians depends on a new voice and a new way. That is why Chandra will be a great public service commissioner. She needs your prayers, your time as volunteers in these last few days, and your donations. For more information, you can visit Chandra for Georgia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
.com.
.com. Thank you. Dr. Campbell, since she's not the candidate, I guess we don't really need a question for her, do we?
I agree. We don't.
All right. Well, thank you.
But if she did, I will be able to answer them on her behalf. So thank you very much.
It's our pleasure, and we please give her our blessing as she's out on the campaign trail. Dr. Hayes, you're not no stranger to the Middle Georgia area. You've been a doctor here in multiple counties. You worked through this area more than one time. You know them by name. You know some of the streets by name. So it's a pleasure to have you back here via Zoom. Thank you for your patience. I do want to announce for you before we continue that we have crossed 53 different platforms as of right now. And I want to thank Lawrence County Democratic Party, the Macon, Georgia Democratic Party, and the Alabama House Caucus, who is now streaming this right now. I was kind of surprised, Doc, with the Alabama caucus, but we're glad to have them. And I'm sure all the candidates would appreciate any donations from Alabama. No. So, Dr. Hayes, with all this attention, go ahead, sir. Your 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Quentin Howell. Again, it's a pleasure to talk with Middle Georgia. Again, my name is Dr. Jason Hayes. I'm a physician, small business owner, and as Brother Howell said, actually in 2017, I actually worked with the local community health center in Warrenton, CHC. And basically the community health center, as you're aware, covers Warrenton, Macon, several other Rennes, several other cities and towns in Middle Georgia. So I'm very familiar with what many of the candidates have mentioned before about healthcare in Georgia. And so I am running for Lieutenant Governor of Georgia with the Democratic Party. I am originally from Louisiana, grew up in a small rural working class city by the name of Opelousas, Louisiana. Mother, she's a retired nurse, father, Navy, my late father's a Navy veteran. My grandfather was a career military Army Master Drill Sergeant, Fort Polk, Louisiana. He also fought in World War II, Korean War. And then also he was a school teacher as well. And also his wife, my paternal grandmother, was a school teacher as well, taught 40 years in the St. Landry Parish school system. So what I tell people is that public service, whether if you served in the military, you're a nurse, you're an educator, that's public service. So that's something that was instilled upon me since being a young person. And when I decided that I wanted to help people at the age of 13, I set my sights on becoming a doctor. But politics or public service is something that continued to be a theme with me. At the age of 17, I was able to take part in something called the American Legion Boy State Program. And there's also a Girl State Program as well. And I was able to get exposed to city, county, and also state government, and even won a representative seat during that universe. So went on to graduate top of my class in 1995 at Opelousas High, Went on to Xavier University in New Orleans, HBCU. I did a lot of volunteering. And then also I graduated in 1999 with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. Went on to another HBCU, Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, where I attained not only a medical degree, but also a Master's of Science in Public Health. I had a great time there. Also did a congressional internship with Congressman Jim Cooper in Nashville, and also did an internship at the Centers for Disease Control during one of my summers working in the epidemiology department. So from there, I went on to Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, got a great education there, board certified in internal medicine, which is adult care. And then from there, in 2007, I actually did a service commitment with the federal government called the National Health Service Corps. And I worked in underserved communities in rural Tennessee, Jackson, and also urban cities, Memphis, and also in Nashville. Was also a medical director, an interim medical director in one of the community health centers as well. And even did some state policy work in Tennessee. And also ended up doing some advocacy work with the American College of Physicians, advocating for Medicare patients in Washington. When I completed my service commitment in 2011, was a travel doctor, even did some work as an HIV doctor in Lithonia for a few months, Lithonia, Georgia. And then once everything settled, got recruited by a hospital system in 2014, settled in Alpharetta, and was basically there for about 2 years. Still went back and got a physician's executive MBA, where I studied healthcare economics, accounting, small business ownership. Ended up coming back, starting my, and didn't ever left, but ended up starting my small business, which is my medical practice, where I'm the owner and the president and the general manager as well. So learned a lot about small business ownership, started my own business plan, got my own funding. So I'm very familiar with small business ownership. In 2020, decided to run for state representative in Alpharetta. And if you know House District 49, it is in 6th Congressional District, which is Newt Gingrich's old district, and that's a Republican district, and it will never turn Democrat. But nevertheless, did a great job as a first-time candidate, ended up winning my primary after the party sent a candidate against me, beat him at 54% of the vote, and then ended up almost flipping that seat at 47.2% of the vote as a first-time candidate, which was huge. So the Democrats like me, but the Republicans respect me. So now I'm running for the statewide position because Alpharetta, House District 49, they're going to be fine. They have doctors, lawyers, engineers, millionaires there. My concern is all of Georgia. So the 4 concerns or the 4 platform items is number 1, healthcare. Georgia's ranked 43rd in the United States in healthcare. We have several counties, especially in the south of Georgia, middle Georgia, that do not have OBGYNs, internists, pediatricians. So when we talk about maternal mortality, that is one of the number 1 reasons. So Medicaid expansion will help us. It will help get patients with affordable health insurance. Those federal funds that come down will help those hospitals. But what it won't help are having doctors in those communities. So when we say Medicaid expansion, it's not going to fix what we're all saying. We have got to recruit doctors to those communities. Now, being a part of the National Health Service Corps, I know the program with HRSA, where we can get federally qualified health centers constructed in those communities. And also we can recruit the doctors that we need. So that's how we fix it. Out of all the candidates running for lieutenant governor and also gubernatorial candidates, I'm the only one that knows how to get this particular system fixed. And also I'm a Georgia Medicaid doctor. We have to get doctors credentialed. That means sign up for Medicaid in order for the patients to see these doctors, and healthcare systems as well. If everyone gets Georgia Medicaid and don't have a doctor, then it's like having catastrophe insurance. You'll still show up to the emergency room with the heart attacks and the strokes. So I'm the only one that can actually be effectively fix this. 2, education. We must make sure that we bring back trade skill opportunities and also teach students in high school about small business ownership. So if a student says, Dr. Hayes, I don't want to go to college, I want to start working, we give them the skills and the tools to actually help themselves, but also help their community. 3, small business ownership. We must get a Georgia level small business association in Georgia. So the students that come out, they can get extra education with the SBA on how to do the business plan, how to get debt financing from the bank, but also someone in the community that wants to start their own business, they have a place to go to again, get the business plan, how to get funding, and also how to help them start their business and maintain it in the event we have a catastrophe like COVID-19. Also, we must, education-wise, we must support our school teachers as well, make sure they get better pay. And then finally, we must make sure that there's voter access and voter protections. My campaign is partnered up with an organization called Ride Share to Vote. You can go to this at www.rideshare2vote.com. And also there's an 800 number that I can give you that you can call if you need assistance with your polls. Again, my name is Dr. Jason Hayes, Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Please learn about me at www.jasonhayes4forga.com and also text Dr. Jason Hayes to 90678. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate you. Mr. Robinson, you've been writing, so I can't wait to hear your question. Go ahead, sir. And Doc, let's be mindful of our time. Real short answer.
Yes, sir.
I remember earlier you mentioned that you are an entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give someone that's planning on starting a business?
Absolutely. The first thing I would tell you is that you have to learn what a business plan is. And people are like, well, Dr. Hayes, what's a business plan? A business plan, what I tell people is, lack of a better word, it's like a book report. Basically, it gives a breakdown. You explain to people in an executive summary what your business is, and then you come through and you put in a part about your marketing, the structure of your business, how your business is going to operate in 5 years, whether you're going to buy, sell, continue, and then you have your finance part. And obviously we recommend having an accountant to help you. And the finance part is what we call a pro forma. How much money do you expect your business to make after 5 years? Now, two things I tell people: there's the on paper 5-year pro forma, and then there's the ones you got to submit to the bank. And the one you got to submit to the bank is going to be inflated. You need to have you making money at about 6 months. If you don't do that and back it up with statistics and stats for your industry, you will not get approved for your loan. And that's the stuff they don't tell you in business school. Again, that's something I'd be able to try to inject and make sure that we have that discussed when we talk about helping small business owners.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm sorry about it. It was a long one, but I had to say it.
That was a pretty educational one, so I didn't want to break in on that. Dr. Campbell, I'm in love. I'm loving that young man, Mr. Robinson. I'm gonna bring him down to Millersville and do him like Floyd Griffin did me and put him under my wing a little bit. I'm just in love with this young man. Go ahead, Doc, with your question.
Okay, my question is this. You're a medical doctor. I'd like to get your opinion about the Roe versus Wade situation that the Supreme Court is trying to turn back time. So give me your opinion on that.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. I have a podcast called Beyond the Race, and it's connected with my website. And I actually discuss in depth for about 30 minutes, is abortion care a part of women's health care? And my response is yes. There are times when abortions are needed medically. For example, if a woman is in a car accident and the medical team in the ER and the obstetrical ER doctors have to decide whether to save the life of the baby versus the mother. So those are one of the situations. The second is when we talk about rape, incest. So those are times whenever abortions may be needed. So what Roe versus Wade does, it's basically Roe, I'm sure many of you are aware, she ended up questioning Texas. She wanted to have an abortion. She got to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. And basically they said it was unconstitutional for a state to stop a woman from having an abortion. So with the leak from the Supreme Court, basically what this is that it's threatening women's ability, reproductive rights. But for Black people, I want us to all be aware that it isn't just abortion things that we have to be concerned about. It's as even in 1800s, 1900s, there was a time when Black women had hysterectomies performed on them when they didn't know. So for Black women in particular, women's reproductive rights need to be protected. And also we must be aware that we shouldn't let people push abortions on us, and we shouldn't let people take abortions away. So to answer your question in short, I stand with the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecology that abortion care is women's health care.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dukes, are you there, sir? Want to give you your 5 minutes. Are you still there, Mr. Dukes? Mr. Dukes, Mr. Dukes, Mr. Dukes, Mr. Dukes.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, there we go. Mr. Dukes, who's a state representative down in Southwest Georgia. Back in 2008, we went to the national convention together, my first national convention. He encouraged me to run for office. So it's a pleasure to see you continuing your run. Please take your 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Quentin, and thank you, Dr. Campbell,
and the young man for convening us here this evening. You know, as your agriculture commissioner, I'll work for you. I'll create good paying jobs with benefits, protect farmers and workers, expand markets, grow a healthy agribusiness sector, and provide for the environment and to protect the environment, work to end food deserts, and to promote educational opportunities for youth. My journey from growing up on the farms in the farm belt, where that my great-great-grandfather was promoted to sharecropping by Abraham Lincoln. You see, my great-grandmother was a sharecropper. My grandmother was a sharecropper. I spent the first 11 years of my life living in a sharecropper's house where I was born. But at 11 years old, I would get up and catch a ride 13 miles to Camilla, Georgia, and to get on the back of a field truck with it. I would go and pick tomatoes and crop tobacco and pull weeds. You see, this is a part of my journey. Then to Mercer University at the age of 15, where I enrolled there in Middle Georgia, got to really know that part of the state. To the Georgia General Assembly in 1992, where I showed up as an unpaid lobbyist, lobbying on behalf of African-American business organization and creating a statewide organization for that effect. To 1997, where I was first elected to represent the good people of House District 154 here in rural Georgia. To 1998, where I was elected as the first vice chair, as a chairman, a vice chairman of the state Democratic Party, where I served for 12 years. To being Governor Barnes' assistant floor leader for 4 years. To serving on the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee for 16. You see, I didn't just show up here. I have prepared myself for this opportunity. You know, in order to win this race, we are going to have to get people in order to beat the Republicans, individuals who have proven leadership with a demonstration to win elections. I've stood for 13 elections and I won 13. There's no one who has come within 63%. I have not received less than 63% of the vote in any election, political election that I've ever run. I can concur with Fred when he said he came down through rural Georgia, the part of the district when he was the 8th chair. And it was the 3 things that he recognized that I can agree with. That down here in rural Georgia, we are rural, we're poor, and it's agriculture. You see, I have lived that life. Those are my friends, my neighbors, and my family members. That's why I'm running. I'm running so that I can make life better for them and the people of the state of Georgia. You see, my commitments run deep, and they are real. My resolve is complete.
Thank you.
Was that 5 minutes, Ken?
You at 6, but
I
was trying to do a soft thank you.
The thing is I am.
You got Nikita over there stretching. You see Nikita over there stretching and stuff.
That's right. Look, I'm keeping track of time because I'm asking for 6 minutes, and I see that I voted sticker. I hope you voted for me.
Oh Jesus!
What was that now, Nikita?
You don't want to hear it.
Well, listen, Quinn, I hope she wins. If I don't,
now you know what? Now,
but
sure
you know,
African American.
But I'm kind of partial to Fred also. So you know, listen. I think they're good people, man. I really do. I feel you. I do. You know, they just.
I'm sure Dr. Campbell loved to hear that right there. Doc, go ahead with your question.
Folks, man. You know,
there's love here, but
wait 1 minute. Let me get
Doc's
question.
You're not in this one yet, okay?
Okay.
But
go ahead,
Quinn, the issue is that they just so anxious
Dr. Campbell, are you there? All right, Dr. Campbell might have stepped away. Brother Robinson, Duke's got almost as long of a resume as Floyd Griffin, Senator Griffin. Duke, go ahead with your question, Mr. Robinson.
My question is, despite your resume, your long resume, what makes you different compared to the other candidates?
Well, what makes me different is not only my resume, but I have a proven track record of performance. You see, I understand agriculture. I come from where we do what we do, you know? Not only am I going to create good paying jobs with benefits within this community, I'm also going to be able to help to sustain small, mid-sized farms and minority farms. We are going to market and expand Georgia's agriculture such that all farmers, both large farmers and small farmers, can be profitable. We're going to work to make sure that we eliminate food deserts within this state. It is inconceivable for us to sit around and agriculture being the #1 industry in the state of Georgia, responsible for around $70 billion of the state $1.5 trillion economy, that people in our state have to go to bed at night wondering where the next meal is going to come from. You see, we're going to do that by providing for sustainable agriculture and to create urban farms such that we can have sustainable, locally grown food. You know, your health is your wealth. You are what you eat. And we're not going to stop there as your agriculture commissioner, because what we're going to do is train young people such that they can understand the value of agriculture, so they can know where their food comes from. As your agriculture commissioner, we're going to make Georgians healthier, wealthier, and wiser.
Thank you. And a chicken in every pot. There we go. All right. Dr. Campbell, you there?
Yes, I am.
Go
I was
ahead.
trying
This is
to
the
get
longest
in this
resume we done had. Go ahead.
I want to ask you, I was so glad to hear you mention the word environment. So I want to ask you, what incentives would you offer for counties to create and maintain green space?
Well, one of the things that we have always been doing and working through the legislature is that what we have done is that we have provided resources such that the state can create green spaces throughout our state. Anything that's associated very close to the river, we ended up going in and buying most of quite a bit of that property. What we did is that we made an offer to landowners who own that property, because we do want to make sure that we leave an environment to our children such that it will be one that is going to be sustainable. Our goal is to make our state and our country a better place for our children to live, grow, work, and play. Under this Republican leadership, both statewide and nationally, there has been very little initiatives that have been offered in that direction. As your agriculture commissioner, we're going to make sure that Georgians live in a state, operating in an environment that is going to be someplace for our children to be very proud of.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we go into the Attorney General candidate. Well, not but two of them in the race, but one of them's on with us, and I appreciate that. Christian Wise Smith. Go ahead, sir. Your 5 minutes.
I'm sorry. I need like 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Oh, who's that? Was that Mr. Smith?
It was.
Okay. 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 I guess he needs to wait 30 seconds. That's fine. We'll go on to the. Now, if there's another, now see, my last two candidates, if I'm not mistaken, is Miss Nikita Hemingway and former state senator Floyd Griffin. If there are any other candidates on besides Christian Wise, please let me know. So I do see people, but I'm not sure if they're candidates. So if there's any other candidates on, please let me know. If not, those are my last two as we get ready to to end this. Since Mr. Wise need a little time, we're going to ask Miss Hemingway, if she doesn't mind, to bless us with her 5 minutes. Oh, wait up. I think Mr. Wise Smith is ready now. Are you ready, sir? Christian Wise Smith, are you ready yet?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that.
No, no problem, sir. Your 5 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
Well, hey, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys to let you know about myself and my candidacy for Attorney General.
You have been muted. We can't hear you. You're muted, Mr. Smith. He's just a talking. There you go. There you go.
No, I was saying that I can't see myself either, so I don't know what you guys can see.
Oh, we see your beard. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start over. First, I just wanted to say thank you all for having me. It's an honor to be able to let you know about myself and my candidacy and hopefully earn your vote in this race. And I'm running because the Attorney General's office involves the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system is very personal to me. I grew up seeing my mom get arrested several times throughout my childhood. I was 7 years old and saw my grandmother get arrested and stripped down her underwear by police. My Uncle Keith Wise passed away in 2008. He was 46 years old, addicted to crack cocaine and constantly in and out of the system. My Uncle Steve Wise is serving a life sentence right now for murder. My Uncle Franklin passed away last week. He was 56 years old. He had served 9 years in prison for drug trafficking. So that was my childhood. More and more stories like that. Things got so bad in high school, my mom actually lost custody of me. I got kicked out of school when I was 17. I was sleeping on friends' floors, even slept in my car sometimes. I was selling stolen clothes out of the trunk of my car, and I came very, very close to selling drugs twice. That was the only way I thought that I could survive. You know, I had to pay rent and bills for the first time when I was 15 years old, and I heard dead or in jail growing up so much that I thought that dead or in jail before 21, so much that I thought that I was headed there, either dead or in jail before 21. Fortunately, I overcame all of that to be the first in my family to graduate from college. I also went on and got a master's degree before I went to law school. My first job out of law school, I started off as a legislative aide in Atlanta City Council. I worked my way up to chief of staff, where I've written legislation on behalf of the council person that I worked for that was voted on and passed and still stands in the city of Atlanta. And in 2013, oddly enough, with the background I have, I became a prosecutor. And my first year, I get a 17-year-old kid who was arrested for drugs. And it felt like I was looking in the mirror of myself at that age. And I remember asking that kid where he saw himself in 10 years. He said he wanted to play in the NFL. But I told him, like I told thousands of other kids who came to the courtroom, you get convicted of a drug charge, you can't get federal money for college. If you're in college, they'll take your FAFSA away if you get convicted of drugs. Created a diversion program on the spot for the kid. He completed it. I dismissed his case. And the truth is I moved on and forgot about him. I had, so many more cases. But his mom emailed me the next year and said, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but last year you gave my son a chance. I wanted to let you know it's not in vain. He's at a junior college in Oklahoma, doing great in the classroom and great on the football field. Broke down crying in my desk when I read that. Because my goal, my why, to going to law school was to be the difference between at least one black man going to college instead of going to prison. And with this kid, I was able to do that. But the story gets better. In 2015, his mom called me and she said, hey, he transferred to the University of Tennessee. Just want to tell you, thank you again for giving my son a chance. In 2016, she called and said, man, you got to come to a game. You have to come and experience this with us. You're a big reason as to why my son has this opportunity. So my kids and I went up to a game. His senior year, I went to 3 of his games in 3 states. But most importantly, in the spring of 2018, I went up to Knoxville and saw him get a bachelor's degree in communications. That kid's name is Justin Martin. He's doing really well now, living down in Houston, Texas, and just living a great life. I tell that story for 2 reasons, though. 1, to show you what's wrong with the justice system, but then 2, to show you I know how to fix it. What's wrong is that I got in trouble by my immediate supervisor. I was told that as prosecutors, we are not counselors, we're not social services, that our job is to get convictions and bring money in the door. And I said, are you kidding me? Think about the opportunities now that this kid will have with the foundation of this education. Think about his community, his family, the folks he'll come into contact with that he can help now, instead of him being a statistic in a system and coming back on a hamster wheel over and over again. And so I tell that story to show you that if we change our approach to how we operate the justice system in the state of Georgia, we can see crime rates go down. We can see mass incarceration come to an end. We can see more equality in the system when it comes to Black and brown folks, and we can see a better and safer Georgia. I know I'm probably close to my 5 minutes, so I'll wrap up and just say visit ysmith4ga.com. That's WISESMITH, the number 4ga.com. And I'm asking you to be bold with me. If we want different, we have to vote different. I'll be the youngest attorney in Georgia history, the first progressive attorney general. Excuse me, I said the youngest attorney general in Georgia history, the first progressive attorney general anywhere in the South. And we can do that if you guys vote me in. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I'm ready for the questions that y'all are ready to throw at me.
All right, sounds good. When you said the youngest attorney, I saw my girl on Hogan Harrison head go, what?
I didn't the youngest attorney.
There you go. Dr. Campbell, I love his testimony. What's your question, ma'am?
Yes, I had read in some papers that the current Attorney General used funds to help people go to the insurrection on January 6th. Is that something you'd be really willing to investigate so that it wouldn't just be an allegation? And if so, would you address that in a debate?
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad you asked that question for a couple of reasons. One, we all saw the tragedy that just happened in Buffalo. That breaks my heart. We have been dealing with white supremacists and hate groups since slavery.
Amen.
Generation after generation. And the reason that we keep having issues with white supremacy is because we have elected leaders who are willing to call it out. And as you just pointed out, we actually have elected leaders who are helping these groups do what they do. And so you guys elect me as your attorney general. Not only will I investigate Chris Carr for his part in what happened on January 6, 2021, but I'll also make sure that we classify all white supremacist hate groups as street gangs, the way that folks in law enforcement want to keep going after Black and brown kids, and they want to perpetuate as if those are the only gang members that we have. We've had gang problems way longer than Black and brown folks became gang members, and it started with the hate group. So yes, I am definitely going to go after them very, very aggressively. Thank you for that question.
And thank you for that answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Mr. Robinson, please.
Yes. First, I would like to say I commend you for your service when it comes to, helping that young man get another chance. If y'all don't know, I am a CEO of a nonprofit organization called You Create New Beginnings, and you just demonstrated giving a young man a new beginning, a chance to create a new beginning, and I really commend that. However, when it comes to the juvenile systems, are you actively involved when it comes to guidance and mentorship?
You said, am I involved with it?
Yeah.
So great question. So yes, throughout my career, I graduated law school in 2011. And as soon as I graduated, I became a board member of an organization back then called Tattoo, Taking Action to Overcome Obstacles. And what we did was work with some of the most at-risk kids in Atlanta public schools, from Thurl, Doug, Harvard, South Atlanta, high schools like that. And our goal was exposing those kids to things outside of their neighborhoods to help them expand their horizons and open them up to different opportunities. So we did things like, take them to musical plays. We took them to an opera. We did, we created a mock trial program for the kids. We did resume workshops and mock interviews. And we also took them on college tours. We took them up to Michigan State University. We took them to my law school, Western Michigan University, Thomas Cooley up in Lansing. So we did a lot to help expose those kids to different things outside of what they knew. And we actually graduated not only from high school, but a few of those kids ended up graduating from college. In addition to that, I coached high school mock trial for 5 years. In Atlanta, we have a youth a youth center called the At Promise Center that was built by the Police Foundation. I was a board member of the Police Foundation for several years and played a really big role in doing the work at the At Promise Center. Worked with several hundred kids through that center as well. So thank you for the question, man. My whole career, I've been an attorney for 10 years now. It's been about giving back. It's been about going back to reach youth like myself, because I definitely relate to and connect with kids who come from lower means and come from rough situations. And I just wanted to be an inspiration to let folks know, you don't have to be a lawyer like I am. You can be whatever it is you want to be. But I just want folks to know that you can start from places like I came from, like so many kids in the justice system have come from, but you can still achieve whatever level of success that you have. So yes, been involved with the youth my entire career, and we're actually going to build a community outreach division through the Attorney General's office after you all elect me. That has never existed before with the AG's office, and one of our first priorities is going to be to create a summer internship program for high school students throughout the state. So I'm going to continue my work with working with our young folks. So appreciate that question, man, and congratulations to what you do for the situations that you overcome and made it out of, to you being the CEO of a nonprofit for as young as you are. My hat's off to you, good brother. So thank you for what you're doing too.
Amen. Amen. And please, Dr. Hayes, you was asked to share some stuff. Please feel free to go ahead and share that. I'll try to put the Baldwin County Democratic Party link in the chat if you need that. Miss Nikita Hemingway, being a Ralston fan, I love your first name. If you remember the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff, I love that. Please, your 5 minutes. You're running for Agriculture Commissioner here of the state of Georgia. Take your time, man.
Thank you so much. And FYI, you and I are probably around the same age, and even though
I'm younger, but go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, that was a nickname kids called me in school, and I promise you, I definitely bring the terror. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity to share who I am and to share my love and passion for agriculture and the reason why I decided to put my name on the ballot. And I want to send a special shout out to my opponents, both Winifred Dukes and Fred Swan, because when you are running for a statewide race or any race for that matter, you tend to share these spaces with many of your opponents. And as you each are championing why you should be the choice to be on that ballot, you get to understand what people are passionate about and what people care about. And so I really want to take this time to acknowledge that both of my opponents care about agriculture, but I'm here to tell you I am the best candidate for this role, and you must elect me as Commissioner of Agriculture for the state of Georgia. My name is Nikita Hemingway. I am from Savannah, Georgia, and agriculture is my first love. My ancestors were rice farmers off of the coast of the Savannah River. I grew up in the farming community. My mother was a single parent, and she raised my sister, my brother, and I in DeKalb County. And every day, every year when school got out, that very next day, we were shipped to South Georgia, and we spent that until the day before school starts. I decided to put my name on the ballot because in 2019, there was no one there to fight for me when the county commissioner stood on my farm and told me I was better off selling my land to Quick Trip than getting him to remove the restrictions that he had passed on the land use that we had for our property. Even though my property was zoned for agriculture, the state of Georgia fails to define what urban agriculture should look like. In addition to that, the state of Georgia also fails to define what a farmer is. So there are many things that are gapping within the system that needs to be addressed in order for us to adequately represent and protect Georgia's largest and oldest industry. In 2021, agriculture generated $70 billion to Georgia's economy. And correction, that was in 2020. In 2021, that number was $68.4 billion, $4 billion. So that means Georgia's most profitable industry is losing money. And why is that? Of the 68,000 farmers in the state of Georgia, majority must maintain an additional 9-to-5 job in order to be able to provide for their families. Now, you heard my opponent state that he served on the Georgia Act Committee for almost 26 years, but there are changes and resources that needed to have happened in the state of Georgia, and they haven't happened. So here is what I intend to do. When I am elected Commissioner of Agriculture, the first thing I am going to do is make sure we have an adequate definition of what a farmer is in this state. Because if we did have that definition, I would be the only candidate on the ballot for this race. So we must be able to identify who occupies this space. The second thing I am going to do is to put a presence in the Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, because we have the busiest airport in the world, and people should know about the products that are grown and produced in the state of Georgia. I want a tasting station. So even if you're in the restaurant area and you want something to sample, you should be able to taste all the amazing products that are made here in Georgia, and a retail space. So even if you're in the airport for 5 minutes and you heard about this amazing rib rub that was made down in Albany, Georgia, you can take some home to your friends in Kansas City. In addition to that, I am going to create virtual offices throughout the state, because it's impossible to believe that farmers who must maintain a 9-to-5 job and then go work on that farm have time to drive all the way to the state capitol to get the coaching, the experience, and the resources they need for Georgia's Department of Agriculture. And most importantly, I am going to make sure that we have farmers markets accessible to all 159 counties, including a virtual farmers market that operates very similar to a website called Etsy, where the citizens of Georgia only have one website to remember. And on that website, you can go and shop from the 68,000 different farmers. There's one checkout. And if you've arranged for your products to be shipped to you, or if you're going to be picked up, all that is handled with one transaction. And what this does is it creates a marketplace for smaller and mid-sized farmers who don't have the resources to get their products to commercial grocery stores or to the industrial places. I'll wrap this up and leave you with this. Integrity matters. What we do in the next 7 days will define what happens for the next 4 years. I am the best candidate for this position because I care about the people of Georgia. I understand your pain. I'm willing to do the work. And when you elect me, Nikita Hemingway, as the next Commissioner of Agriculture, I will be the first African-American and woman elected in our nation's history to serve in this position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Dr. Campbell, I was going to tell everyone that we had crossed into the 60 amount of shares, but we have actually crossed to almost over 75 different platforms where this is being streamed at right now throughout the state of Georgia and Alabama, including the Greening Caucus has shared this, and now the African American Caucus has shared it as well. So we have a very large audience listening. Dr. Campbell, your question?
Yes, I appreciate your comments tonight. And I believe you said that you would have a farmer's market in every county.
I said I will have a farmer's market accessible in every county. There are some counties that their communities are very, very small, like Taliaferro, where there are only 1,200 people. But there are counties nearby where a 10-minute drive would get you access to a farmer's market. I think yes.
Well, that wasn't my question.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that before I ask the question, because I know that's going to involve funding. And I wonder, had you done a feasibility study on the cost to make sure that they had a farmer's market accessible? I want to know, have you done that study yet?
So this is what I know. In the state of Georgia, the Department of Agriculture's #1 responsibility is to promote and market Georgia agriculture. The department already has the funding to set up and regulate these farmers markets. In addition to that, the Commissioner of Agriculture is the top lobbyist for the state with the USDA. And the USDA has grants and programs, money available to states that does not cost taxpayers any additional dollars to promote and build agricultural communities.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Robinson, your question, please.
Yeah, so currently, we have been seeing a lot of increasing products and foods that are genetically modified. And my question is, what do you have planned to increase more organic fruit, foods, and vegetables being produced in the local communities?
Yes, great question. So several things. The Department of Agriculture regulates more than just farmers and access to food. It regulates grocery stores, convenience stores, gas pumps, but it also regulates and it's over product labeling. Most don't know that there are 129 ingredients in the average cheeseburger. So labeling those products, when we're talking about GMOs, it is important to know every single item that is in a product. The way that I want to create alternatives or access to better foods is by amplifying the marketing opportunities throughout the state and make sure that you and families throughout the state of Georgia have access to locally grown foods. What we're not talking about is the fact that the average farmer in the state of Georgia is 58 years old. And so in 10 years, we are likely to be in a food crisis if we don't start recruiting, educating the next generation of farmers. What we're not talking about is the fact that food prices are the highest they have been in 40 years and inflation is approaching 12%. And the reason I'm mentioning that in your question about GMOs is because when we begin to look at locally grown foods, we can not only solve those issues around having access to better quality food, but we can bring the cost of food down. We can ensure food security. We can make sure our economy is driving because farmers have better accesses. And when you have more choices, when food is in abundance, quality food is in abundance, you will choose wisely.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your time. Dr. Campbell, we're at the last one. You ready to close this on down? She done got muted on me.
I heard you, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we get to close this with a gentleman who's actually from Middle Georgia. I'm surprised no one else in his race came on since we have had so many people from other races on, even at other events. So I'm very appreciative that he takes Middle Georgia this seriously, especially since this is his home. He's a former state senator. He's the first Black mayor we have had in this community of the city of Millersville, and held many more other positions and resumes. So without any further ado, our last candidate, who's a Middle Georgia native on our Middle Georgia Forum. Welcome, former state senator Floyd L. Griffin. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and Dr. Campbell. Thank you for calling me on. I think it was Friday, making sure that I had received the invite to the forum last night, which I hadn't. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Robinson. Now I'm going to have to talk very quickly because I just found out that I only have about 10% of my battery. and since I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours, Quentin, I need to get at least another 2 or 3 minutes if necessary. But I'm gonna move quickly. Okay, I'm gonna talk in sound bites and at the same time talk about the Secretary of State and that responsibilities and try to get in what I'm going to do. Look, we hear too much about the Secretary of State being responsible for elections. Now, we know that. That's a big deal. And we have to deal with that. But the Secretary of State is also responsible for corporations and businesses. I won't go into any details with that. Licensing, security, charities, and archives. Look, this is a corporate level responsibility in the state of Georgia. So the next Secretary of State needs to have corporate level leadership, corporate level management, and corporate level experience. And Floyd Griffin covers each one of those 3 areas. And how do I know that? Go to my website, floydgriffin.com, and you will find out that my each one of those 3 areas, it is deep and wide. So when you go on my website, floydforgeorgia.com, you can't go on there and stay 2 or 3 minutes now. You're going to have to spend some time going through that whole website. Now, Floyd Griffin is from Millersville. I'm probably one of the oldest individuals on this call tonight. I go back to segregated Georgia, and I left Millersville and went off to Tuskegee University, where I was involved in the civil rights movement. The first student killed in the civil rights movement was a classmate of mine and a friend of mine. And the first sheriff elected in the Deep South was also a Tuskegee alum and was a friend of mine, and I worked on his campaign. See, I've been involved in elections ever since I was 18 years old, when the principal took me to the courthouse, my class to the courthouse before graduation, and made us register to vote. Then after leaving Tuskegee, which I majored in building construction, and I'm telling you that because, see, the cooperation, the business, and the licensing side of the house is part of the Secretary of State's responsibilities. And that's what I did in the Army for 23 years, working in the Corps of Engineers. If you ever heard of the Corps of Engineers, the Corps is responsible for vertical and horizontal construction. Also, I spent 1 year in Vietnam commanding an engineer company and flying helicopters. I have worked at the highest level of the Army in the Pentagon, where I build budgets, billion-dollar budgets, submit them to Congress, and had to go and testify to defend my budget to the subcommittees committees of our programs. Now, after retiring from the Army, I came back to Millersville. I could have gone anywhere and made some big time money, retired as a colonel in the Army with my background and experience, with an advanced degree in contracts and procurement management, going to the National War College and so forth. But I came back to my family business, funeral service, where I served for over 28 years after coming back. So that means that, once again, here we go into the Secretary of State's situation, because I'm a licensed funeral director, licensed embalmer, and my business was licensed. Then I ran for the state Senate, becoming the first African-American in modern times to be elected in a majority white rural legislative district, both House or Senate, and then being the first Black senator of the 25th district. And after that, I ran for lieutenant governor. Okay, I didn't win that race, obviously, but Lieutenant Governor Mark Taylor and I were in the Senate together, ran against him, and Mark won. We remained friends, and he has endorsed my candidacy, stating that Floyd Griffin is the best person to be the next Secretary of State. Okay, after not winning that election, I became the first African-American mayor of the old capital city of Millersville. Now, let me tell you very quickly how much time I got, Quentin, left. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let me tell you very quickly, I'm gonna tell you a couple of things that I'm gonna do. It's a lot of things that I'm gonna do, but some of the first things I'm gonna do, I'm going to have to reorganize the Secretary of State's office. Now, you all need to understand that we have not had a Democrat in that position since 2009, when Kathy Cox was the Secretary of State, who's presently here in Millersville as the president, and who's going to be an advisor to me when I become Secretary of State. So we got to go in and reorganize, and I'm going to reorganize with 2 deputies, a male, and I'm going to appoint a woman as one of my deputies. I'm also going to set up a satellite office in Macon, Georgia, where the Secretary of State has a facility there at this time, which is the licensing division. That satellite office will be for me, the SEC. I will come down and spend several days a month at that office for those of you who live anywhere in Georgia, but especially out in rural Georgia, want to come and spend some time with the SEC, all you have to do is make an appointment and come up and have a cup of coffee with me and so forth. And I will also be there to monitor the licensing division, which there are some problems with the licensing division presently. Now, let me finish up by saying that from the standpoint of the elections, I'm going to do two things once within the first 90 to 180 days. One is that I'm going to audit this election that we are running in now to see if there's anything that we need to improve or change and so forth. At the same time, I will also conduct roundtables, listening sessions around the state in major centers and by Zoom, where the electorate, the citizens and the voters may provide feedback to me on this election and other areas of the Secretary of State. Now, I think my 5 minutes is up. I have some more that I can add in there, but go to my website. And by the way, I'm not running for Secretary of State. I'm allowing the other 4 people to run for Secretary of State. I am the next Secretary of State with your vote and your support on the 24th of May, which is my birthday. So vote for Floyd Griffin on my birthday.
Well, I thought Nikita Hemingway had all the energy. I hear you. I hear you. We 2.5 hours in. We rolling. You got Valerie over there clapping and stuff. Boy, I hear you. Happy birthday to you too, Valerie. It's her birthday week.
Right.
Happy birthday to her. Dr. Campbell, that's a lot of energy there. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first I want to thank him for thanking me for calling him to remind him of the call. I did. I called everybody I had a phone number for. But I want to say that Governor Kemp was called before a congressional meeting by him being Secretary of State and purging the role and him running for governor. He asked for a postponement, and I don't think there was ever closure on that by him being in that office. Do you think the Secretary of State should be running for office and deciding who can and cannot run and controlling, purging the role? I know 2 candidates that he's already said are not qualified. One, the judge left it up to him. So how do you feel about that?
Well, let me answer that with two answers. Number one, the law does not require the Secretary of State to step down or not carry out his responsibilities or her responsibilities. Now, I can tell you what Floyd Griffin will do if I would decide to run for another position or run again for Secretary of State. Then I would not. I would turn that responsibility over to one of my deputies.
Excellent answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Doc, you heard that if. That was a long if right there. I thought we almost had an announcement here.
Well, wait a minute now. One of the things that I don't do, Quentin, I don't go in office expecting to run again, okay? I go in office to try to carry out the responsibilities that's before me and what the future's all about. I can say this, I have no intentions of wanting to be governor, U.S. senator, or congressperson. See, I came out of retirement to run for this position, to go in and clean this mess up. And that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you.
All right. They always say they ain't gonna run for nothing else. Mr. Robinson, as you getting ready to ask the last question, I just want to say in front of everyone, and we have crossed over, I think, 85 different either shares or platforms or groups. It's a number of people that is listening and that have reshared this from Atlanta to Savannah to the west side of Georgia to the east side, and of course over even in Alabama, and of course several different caucuses. I want to say thank you. You're 19 years old, and most people don't know this. You got these questions ready in almost 12 hours. I did not know what they were. All of them, I think, have been excellent. Young man, I am thoroughly impressed with you. Whatever you run for in the future, I'm hoping I'm not running against you, okay? Thank you. And I know you're in Pennsylvania right now, but as soon as you get back to Georgia, I look forward to getting with you and put some rubber on the road, okay? Thank you very much for what you're doing.
No, I would like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to attend this amazing event. Like this is a life-changing opportunity. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Like words can't even explain how much I appreciate it.
I feel the same way every time Dr. Campbell asks me to do something. I feel the exact same. Your question, Mr. Robinson, go ahead.
Okay. And I want to also thank Mr. Floyd as well for your activism, your advocacy for a lot of different things when it comes to political issues and stuff like that. And I commend you for that. My question is, why do you think it's important for the youth to get involved with political engagement? And how could the youth hold candidates that are about to be elected accountable when they get in office?
Well, that's a very good question. And once again, I'm going to shoot some sound bites at you. Number one, we need to educate our young people about the importance of being involved in the political process. Okay? You can't hold someone accountable if you don't understand the political process. Secondly, I will set up a youth roundtable for the youth, and we will, don't ask me how it's going to be set up right now, but we'll have so many young people from various age groups and in college like yourself to participate maybe 3 or 4 times a year on this roundtable to help us define why young people are not being involved in the process. So I want to give you all an opportunity to help me come up with the answers and the solution with that. I was talking to someone today, a young person, and it was talking about, I'm out of here, folks. I lost it. Okay. I'm almost there. My battery is going dead, but that's what I'm going to do. And if you're still in college there or in Atlanta, next year, you call me up and come and see me because we'll put you on that council, on that roundtable.
Sounds like a plan. Each and every single one, we've covered all our candidates. Dr. Campbell, you don't know this, but all of these candidates was asked within a 24-hour period. This was all put together within a 24-hour period, purposely because we want to know the ones who took Central Georgia that seriously. So they didn't get a 5, 6, 8 day. They didn't even get a 2-week notice. They got a 24-hour notice. We're going to make it happen. And I can't believe the amount that showed up. So, Mr. Robinson, Ms. Campbell, I would like to get 2 closing comments from you before I get a closing comment from the mayor, and she's going to pray us out. Mr. Robinson, your closing comment, sir.
Yes, again, I just want to say thank you to you and just for this event to come about. Like I said, this is a life-changing opportunity. And it was very informative as well. I learned a lot of different things. I wrote down a lot of different notes too, like keywords and stuff like that I'm going to, further my knowledge about. However, again, I like to thank all the candidates, and I am registered. I am eligible to vote in Georgia. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to
his first election this year. Man, for your first election, you can't hear the applause, but you're getting them out there. And you should take a look at the chat. I think Miss Sheila B. Williams put something beautiful in there for you. And I tell you, I've only known you for 1 day, and I look forward to the continuing our relationship. I really do. I'm highly impressed with you, young man. And thank you for your time and for doing what you did, because all of these questions he came up with in just the past couple of hours. and he had no idea I was going to ask him to do this. So thank you. Dr.
Just
Campbell came up with her questions in less than that because I only asked her about 8 hours ago. So, Dr. Campbell, your closing comment, please, as president of our African American Caucus and a woman who wrote legislation and done a variety of things. Thank you for taking the time to come on and spend this time with us tonight. Please, your closing comment.
Okay, as a leader of the party, of the Democratic Party Black Caucus, I have to support those caucus chairs in the rural and urban areas. I didn't find out a lot of time, but when Quentin T. Howell asked me, I stayed on because I want to support him because he supports me and he supports the caucus. I want to encourage everyone on this call, join the African American Caucus. We want to be the largest, strongest caucus and the advocate for African Americans and really all Georgians, but with a focus on African Americans. And I've heard some things tonight. You might not think I noticed, but I noticed some things you said about the party. And I'm going to take them back to the DPT. I'm going to get a response from them. I made some notes of some things that I heard because this is the party, your party. Until after the primary, you are all qualified Democrats. And after the primary is when we take a position. So thank you so much. Thank you, Quentin T. Howell. I appreciate it. And I hope to see your names again when we have our next caucus, because we will have a forum after May 24th. Thank you and good night.
Yes, ma'am. Nikita Hemingway, Sheila Edwards, Miss Valerie Rogers, Miss Sherry B. Williams, staying in for Charlotte Farley, Hogan Harrison for State House of Representative 133rd. Of course, the Honorable Floyd Griffin, L. Griffin running for Secretary of State, Fred Spahn, Dr. Jason T. Hayes. Thank each and every single one of you all. Y'all stayed to the end. And it's been kind of long. I don't know about you, but I'm starving. I hadn't eaten. So I'm going to go ahead and grab something. I know Valerie has to eat at a certain time, so it's time for her to eat. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. Each and every single one who has shared this event, over 85 different shares. And I had no expectation of all the different platforms, the caucuses, the groups throughout the state that's been on. Thank you so much. Fred, I see you there. So thank each and every single one of you all. All absentee ballots must be in by this Friday. 41,000 absentee ballots has been requested. Only 12,000 and some change has been turned in. And I'm only talking about Democrats. That is an amazing number when you have about 30,000 absentee ballots on somebody's kitchen table. So whoever is listening to this, speak to someone else, encourage them to vote, give them a ride, whatever the case may be. Let's do our work. I'm going to turn this over to our mayor, Mary Brown Copeland, for her to give us her closing comments and to pray us out, since she also serves as a pastor in addition to. So, Mayor Copeland, thank you for your time. It's in your hands.
Thank you, Quentin. This has been a very informative night. I have learned a lot. My first time being on air, I listened. If you all know, I was just garnering, just soaking in the information as you answered your questions, and with such professionalism. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I heard the candidates that gave their answer or response to the questions, wow, when I grow up, I want to be like you guys. You all have really hit the mark. Dr. Campbell, oh my goodness. I found me someone to really mentor from and to model. And so you'll be hearing from me. And I do expect to be a part of the African American Caucus.
Thank you.
But to get one going strongly out of this Central Georgia region. So continue to do the great work that you're doing. So at this time, let us pray. I know everybody has had a long night. Gracious and wonderful God, we thank you right now for this informative platform. We thank you that you've put in our minds and in our spirits to educate, to elect, to be mindful of those that are wanting and willing to do the work. Father, we've heard from such wonderful candidates tonight. I ask that you continue to touch them, continue to give them the mindset to want to work for us and make this a better place for us to be. Thank you for Mr. Robinson, a young man being raised up in this area, Lord God. Continue to bless him, endow him, give him the peace and the place to be that young trendsetter that wants to show every other young person it is very important for you to vote and why you should vote. So as we close this night out, we thank you and we ask you to continue to shine your mercy and your grace upon us. Let us be a help to them that want to lead. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
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 Good night, everyone.
You
Good
guys,
night, and
please
thank
say
you all
the
for your
chat.
time.
Have everybody to say the chat. Some great
Say it
comments
again?
in the chat. Have everybody to say the chat. There are great comments in the chat, especially for Mr. Milo Robinson.
Yes, yes, very great chat. Very, 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 very. And also the Baldwin County Democratic Party link is in there too for y'all to also put them on that. I hear you, Darius Butler, just flip that district, flip the state, keep it going. Thank you all. I appreciate you. Ms. Edwards, have a beautiful night. Thank you, Sister Nakima Way, Fred Swan, all of you all. Thank you for your time.
Good night.
Good night, brothers.
Ready?
Good night. Good luck, everybody.
Good night. Thank y'all.
My
Look,
pleasure.
everyone.
Save me something to eat, Valerie. I'm on the way over.
Hey, I don't finished it. I blinked the lights out. I was eating. I made bring me something to eat. I was like, I'm hungry. I'm starving.
I saw him over there. All right, y'all take care. Jason,
You
take
too.
care,
You have a
brother.
good one. All right then.
Bye.